All right. What's going on, family? We are now live. We got ourselves BDELL1014. It's been a minute, you know what I'm saying? It really been a minute since I've been doing any form of live streams, you know what I'm saying? But we are now back on that time, you know. So before we get into this video, BDELL1014 is a life path 7, you know. I'm a life path 7 myself, and you guys already know we're in the age of Aquarius. Life path 7 is all about logic, the most loner number, really investigating, you know, and 7 is very low key, very associated, very it has a lot of Aquarius traits, you know. We're in the age of Aquarius. So sevens, this is your time to really, as you guys see, BDELL1014, he knows what he's talking about, you know, and shout out to all the other sevens in the community as well. You know, blessings to all the brothers and sisters. But BDELL is someone that I understand though. Me and him both being life path sevens, that I really understand. So we're gonna get straight into it. And this is gonna be on the melanin and how heat also the intention is gonna be on how heat powers up your melanin, you know. So as you guys know, the hotter you get, the more activated you get. All right. So we got ourselves BDELL. Before we get into that, we're gonna get into a quick commercial break and let's get the show started.
And agave. If you're interested in trying this, make sure you screenshot. And remember, don't brew your tea over 170 degrees. It could degrade potential effects such as enhanced mood, relaxation, improved concentration, and increased libido. It's good. It's really good. The blue lotus salad is a game changer. Lotus in traditional oriental medicine has been used to beautify the skin, prevent cancer, fight inflammation, and regulate blood sugar levels. All you would need is lettuce, tomatoes, an avocado, red onions, cucumbers, chickpeas. For my dressing, I use lemon juice, sea salt, avocado oil. You can use any oil you like, and pepper. Now mix and garnish with your blue lotus flower. Enjoy. Feel free to screenshot this recipe as well as the benefits listed below. This versatile product not only cultivated feelings of tranquility, but also enriched my lucid dreams and fostered better sleep. It's legit.
All right, what's going on, BDELL? How you feeling?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Man, I'm feeling good, man. Just sun ain't out, but you know, we just getting it in, man. We just getting it in.
That's what's up.
But most of you guys who've been on my channel before, you guys seen BDELL before. You know how he is. You know how he gets down on that 7. You know, very get straight to the logic, straight truthful, and he gets straight to it, you know. And in this video, we're gonna target the power of heat. You know, heat is powerful, and how it activates your melanin as a melanated being, you know. So BDELL, I'm gonna let you, you know, go off the top on, you know, when we talk about heat, why is it important for melanated beings to tap into that heat, which is saunas, steam rooms, you know, going to the sun.
Okay. So when you understand the mechanisms of parasites and nanoparticles, they have the ability to manipulate your neurological faculties by rewiring the neurotransmitters. And they rewire the neurotransmitters by way of a emotional gas hormone. And that emotional gas hormone basically creates a glycolytic enzyme. And that glycolytic enzyme basically manipulates the neurological interface of the brain structure, and it stagnates for the neuromelanin to be activated. So the neuromelanin is what is the foundation of how you go into light code transmission, and when you go into quantum physics, metaphysics, and mind science technology. So that activation in itself has to put you in alignment to where you can activate the God body and the God mind. So if the mind is subjugated by way of parasites and nanoparticles, you're not able to tap into that power. So that's why it's imperative to go to saunas and go to steam rooms, because it activates the body to where it basically destabilizes the energy blockages that's connected to your 7 energy cortexes, which is basically your chakra system. Your chakra system is connected to the endocrine system. So when you have the endocrine system in alignment, which is comprised of the thymus gland that's connected to the heart chakra, and then you have the thyroid gland, and then you have the hypothalamus gland, which is the master gland, where you become a mastermind. So heat is a good thing because heat basically copulates with the carbon body. So it's basically the same thing as when you're talking about the manifestation of creation, because the photon hydrogen atom creates electrons, electrons create elements, and elements create molecules, and molecules create organs, and organs create organ systems. So that is basically the epitome of creation by way of the heat activation, which is the ether, right? Because ether is nothing but an amalgamation of energy that is comprised of electrical energy, thermodynamics, hydrodynamics, electrical radiation, and resonant energy, which is basically the foundation of antimatter. So antimatter is trapped light, which is carbon. That is dark matter energy. So the same thing takes place when you're talking about particles and atoms. You got quark stars that create leptons. Leptons create the bosons, and the boson creates the Higgs particle, and the Higgs particle is the foundation of the God particle, which is equated to the God mind by way of gamma radiation. So gamma radiation is the highest frequency. That is basically your foundation of activating the God mind. So that's where you get into the Christ consciousness aspect, because when you activate the mind, as I told you before, you unlock the energy cortexes within yourself, which are basically portals. Every chakra system that you have is an interstellar vortex portal that connects you to the space-time continuum through the grand unified theory.
Wow. So how long? We was talking about this as well. You know, when you go into you do the steam room, I do the sauna. But what makes you personally do steam rooms over the sauna?
I feel like a steam room, like now you got a sauna, an infrared sauna. It'll basically heat up your body from the inside out to where it starts to extract a lot more sweat. If you have like energy blockages and your body feels sore or whatever. But as far as a steam room, I feel like it has a lot more healing modalities, because due to the extra extraction from the steam that's producing a lot more sweat, it activates the sweat glands a lot more extensively. So that's why I prefer a steam room instead.
Okay. How long do you recommend people who are trying to activate their genes to stay in that steam room?
I say I go in there, you know what I'm saying? If you're not used to it, don't even try to tap into that energy. I stay in there for about 45 minutes, 30 minutes,
Oh, yeah, wow, that's a long time.
Because what happens is it opens up those portals within you, and then starting to extract all the things that's basically just subjugating the body. So like I said, when you go into a sauna, if you've never been in there, I'm telling you, you're going to have the best sleep ever afterwards, because it's going to be unlocking things within yourself that you never had before.
Right.
You're going to feel this heaviness, and this energy is going to be basically dematerialized once you get out of the sauna or a steam room. So it's really good for the body. So it's like I saw
one website where they were saying saunas are actually very spiritual, because you go into that sauna, it's a very sacred spiritual spot. People are always talking about the physical benefits, but it does have metaphysical benefits. So they said a sauna is good for cleansing your soul, and really cleaning out your soul, because when you sweat, you're releasing water out of your body, and water cleans things, but we also have those dirty water molecules inside of us. So we're like kind of recycling
most
anything
definitely.
Right.
So it's one of those things where I understand that you know about Yaki awakening. I remember he told you that water is actually a unnatural substance, but you're supposed to use it to purify the body, but you're not supposed to be drinking it, because water in itself contains oxidation. So oxidation basically breaks down the hemoglobin cellular structure, within your genetics to where the aging process starts to take place. So anytime you sit in heat, it raises up your vibration, it speeds up the magnetic field or the heart chakra, and it speeds up the magnetic field of the brain. So when you have the brain and the heart chakra working in tandem, that puts you in a state of supreme balancement, which is equated to the laws of Mayat. So when you're in a state of balance, what happens is that's when you go into 0 point energy, as we were talking about before. 0 point energy is connected to the allegory of dark matter energy. Dark matter energy is connected to the carbon body. You activate the carbon body when you're able to balance both those energies by way of the heat that's activating the sun heat genes, which is equated to the energy of the sun when you're talking about granulations and prominences. So the non-ether in itself, that's how you activate the melanin or the neuromelanin, whatever you want to call it. So people got to understand the dichotomy between melanin and carbon. Everybody on the planet has melanin. You know, every species, every race on the planet has melanin, but every race and every species doesn't have carbon. Everybody doesn't have the ability to activate the carbon, which is comprised of 6 electrons, 6 protons, 6 neutrons, which is equated to the symbology of the biblical context of 666. So that's what I'm saying. You know, so when you go against your energetic vibration to raise up your vibration, that's when you become the Antichrist, because you are anti yourself. You see what I'm saying?
Wow. Okay. That is that's a good breakdown. So you know, going deeper into this, you know, this begs me to ask the question: should we be getting the cold? Should we be eating cold foods? Should we be, you know, raising the temperature, lowering it down? Is the cold harmful to us?
It depends on how you look at it, because the cold also has a lot of healing modalities and properties. So usually when I get out of a sauna or when I get out of a steam room, I immediately go take a cold shower afterwards, because it activates the serotonin levels, and those serotonin levels is the precursor to activating the dopamine, and that dopamine activates the melanin. Yeah, you see what I'm saying?
I didn't know serotonin was connected to melanin. It has a link to
it's all connected to the brain. It's all connected to the energetic frequency of the brain, which is also connected to the hypothalamus gland, the master gland, when you activate the 3rd and 4th ventricle of the brain. So this is where you get the whole concept of pressure makes diamond, because pressure makes diamonds because you have magnetites and dendrites within the brain structure, right? Which is comprised of your so-called allegory of the crown of thorns around Jesus's head. So that pressure, that gas, that heat is what activates the God mind, the Christ consciousness. You become Christ when you activate your genetical structure. That's what it's basically talking about. So you got to go to the sitting room. You got to go to the sauna. You got to get cryostasis therapy, cryogenic therapy. You got to go get massages, because it's one of those things where people think that, you know, spirituality is all about, you know, wearing head wraps and crystals and meditating and stuff like that. Yeah, you got to tap into the energy that way, but you also have to do the work. You got to use the matrix in order to get out. You got to spend that money. You got to spend that bag in order to, you know, to tap into that energy. Unfortunately, because we live in a patriarchal system where everything is based on capitalism. So if you're going to be talking about, you're going to be using your money for something, use it for something that's going to activate your genetical structure to where you're able to reap the benefits of spiritual evolution as we're going through this great awakening process. Because as the planet is ascending, you're supposed to be ascending with the planet by way of the genetical activation that's connected to the carbonated energy and the ethers on planet Earth.
So going forward into the sun, right? You know, the sun a lot of the times is the first thing that people think about when it comes to heating up your body. Should that be the first thing people go to, or should it be a sauna? What's the first way you should heat up your body? What's your
natural sunlight? Natural, in my opinion, natural sunlight. Just like you had the slaves back in the days. But see, that's one thing. You know, Black people get sick now because they don't sweat. They ain't sweating. So like I said, you had the slaves back in the day. They was out there humming, you know, working in the fields, and they was sweating. they was activating that melanin. That's how they was able to understand the esoteric secrets of the pathways on how to navigate the stars in order to get out of, you know, those plantations, because they didn't have no maps. A lot, you know what I'm saying? A lot of them niggas, they didn't even know how to read. You know what I'm saying? Because due to the subjugation from the slave master, so when you activate the melanin, you activate the mind, and when you activate the mind, that creates a energetic space to where you're able to navigate through the matrix, that to where you can tap into the quantum mind that taps into the quantum world. So, like I said, sweating in itself is how you activate the body. It's how you activate the melanin. It extracts all the parasites outside of the body. So that's what, you know, that's a problem with a lot of black people, man. Like, they ain't sweating enough. That's why so many people are getting sick nowadays. They don't sweat. They don't work out. Like I said, get inside that sun. That's the natural way, because the UV radiation light spectrum in itself is going to help you, you know, activate that neuromelanin. It's going to help you activate that carbon body. So it's imperative to get the natural sunlight, work out, run, you know what I'm saying? Get those sweat glands activated. Because when you understand the inception of creation, when you go through the 11 seeds of Canaan, when you understand the Levitical law in the Bible and in the monotheistic context of it, one thing you got to understand is that the Girgashite is the fourth seed of the Canaanite, and the pig was extracted out of the Girgashite through genetic splicing. So that means that the pig is a cursed animal. Why is it a cursed animal? The pig is a cursed animal because it doesn't have any sweat glands, right? So it basically houses parasitical entities. So that's why, you know, you're not supposed to be eating pork, right? Because pork is basically an unclean entity because it has trichinomosis, it eats its own feces. And then when you understand the metaphysical essence of it and the esoteric knowledge of occultic knowledge, what the Catholic priests, they actually used to use the pigs as a transmutation process to transmute the demon from the person during a exorcism. They transmute the demon and they put it inside the pig. So they transmute the demon through horizontal gene transfer and to where they tap into the spiritual world when they using all these seances or whatever, and they transmute the demonic spirit out of the person, and then once it's out of the body, it goes into the pig because the pig is an unclean entity. Anything that's unclean, that's where demonic spirits is able to attach to it. So seeing as it basically attaches to the pig, that's when they crucify the pig, they kill the pig. You got to watch a lot of exorcism movies, and when you see that, like, so when you talking about
so sweating is a form of exorcism.
No. Sweating is a form to extract parasites.
Okay.
Parasites to where demonic entities, because demonic entities, they're able to leech onto these parasites. These parasites take over your energetic morphic field. And then that's when your auric field becomes compromised to where they compromise the nervous system. So that's why, like I said, parasites in itself is not just subjected to enzymes inside of the food. It's connected to nanoparticles, which is a form of nanotechnology. That is a form of a parasite, because parasites basically locks down your genetical structure by way of technological radiation. So like what I'm saying is, you know, it's one of those things where you got to understand that sweating basically extracts anything that's negative to the body. That's how you activate the carbon. When you use activated carbon is charcoal. So that's the best way you get out of these a lot of these parasites and these heavy metals. That's the best way to extract it.
When you say charcoal, you mean black charcoal?
Not, I ain't talking about the shit that you grill with, but I'm talking about like
activated black charcoal.
Yeah. You
put
some, that's
I literally got some right now. You know, Lifeway gave me some, but you know, I didn't know it was that. So you're saying that right there is like the junk. That's the power right there.
Yeah. It extracts anything that's negative to the body, and then get you some duck flour. Do a duck flour detox.
Man, I'm scared to do that one. I still got it in my place, bro. I'm scared to do it, bro.
Yeah, that duck flour is a whole different story.
Yeah. You done it before? How was your experience?
Yeah, I did duck flour one time. It was last year. That duck flour gonna turn you to a mighty duck. It's gonna, like I said, it's gonna
Wait, hold on. So you done it, and did you throw up? Like, you know, what happened?
I threw up, and it extracts anything that's basically negative to the body. So it's a good thing for you to do that. So it's going to have you using the bathroom a lot. You know.
How did you feel? You lost some weight. I heard some people lose weight after doing that.
Yeah, you're gonna lose weight. You lose a lot of weight. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna get rid of a lot of that brain fog. It activates everything within the body.
So that's true. Like when people have an unhealthy body, brain fog is what comes up. That's a symptom. But when you detox your body, there's no more brain fog.
That's why I go. That's why you gotta sit in that steam room, because that steam itself, like I said, it's a form of synthetic electrical plasma energy, which is comprised of gas. So that gas activates the sun heat genes. So when you get those gases and those granulations activated, it is extracting anything. It basically is making the magnetic field of the brain pulsate. It's kind of like the same thing that's happening on the planet Earth. The sun is the steam room. The planet Earth, which is a representation of carbon, is connected to the emulation of the carbon body. So when you have the sun beaming on the planet, it activates the magnetic field of the planet. When you go into a steam room, the steam room is in alignment to the heat that's coming from the sun. It activates the magnetic field of the body, activates the magnetic field of the heart chakra. It activates the magnetic field of the brain, your neurological faculties. So it gets rid of that brain fog, because when you go into a steam room or a sauna, the body begins to pulsate. It pulsates because it's tricking the body that it's in a state of not exorcism, but to where you're exercising. So what I'm saying is, it's like one of those things where it's good for blood circulation. It's good for speeding up your heart rate.
Have you heard about? They said that when you go into the sauna or steam room, it activates the runner's high.
Yeah.
That's like probably my favorite benefit of going to the sauna. Like me just sitting in there for 10, 15 minutes. And I used to run myself, but when I used to like run, you get that runner's high. You get high just all working out. And when you go into the sauna, you get that same feeling just from sitting down. You get that same feeling of just feeling high off life. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I but you're the first one who really highlighted the spiritual and metaphysical properties of a sauna and steam room, because a lot of people just think that a sauna and steam room is just physical, when in reality you just said yourself that it helps all the chakras. So
it gets rid of the energy blockages, because that's another thing. Like I said, once you start to unlock those keys within yourself, that's when you're able to tap into the quantum world. That's when you're able to tap into the energy of remote viewing a lot more extensively. That's when you're able to activate the ethereal body as these ethereal energies is coming in. The ether, the green etherian energy, which is comprised of gamma radiation. So that gamma radiation is comprised of gases, and those gases activate the gases within you. So like I said, it's one of those things where people just got to tap into that energy and stop running from it. So if you don't have a gym membership, it's imperative that during this time period, especially right now, everything is in a state of warfare. Everything is around you. So that's the best way to get the body in alignment.
Because me myself, I'm plant-based. I know you are plant-based, or
I eat a lot of fish.
Are you plant-based?
No, fish.
Okay. So you're pescatarian, but I even heard that even when you're plant-based, the food is still messed up. You're still dealing with foods that still got parasites in it, and all types of pesticides, the lettuce, everything, even the vegan food is messed up. So you gotta still low-key gotta still sweat it out of your body. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're not sweating it out, it's staying in your body, and you gotta run, you gotta work out. And what's funny, BDELL? So I did a lot of research, me being a 7, and I did some research on sweating. Google tells you that sweating is bad for you. I put this on my soul. They say that when you sweat, it's a myth that they try to mythologize everything, make everything seem like, okay, you sweating out, nah, that's not good. Like that doesn't really do. Like they're trying to find the scientific evidence to find that sweating is actually a good thing, but we already know that it's a good thing.
Yeah, because because sweating in itself is not really conducive to everything that's taking place as far as their matrix system. Because they're not if you're not sweating, that means you're going to get sick. So if you're going to get sick, that's connected to capitalism. You know what I'm saying? Because they make money off sick people. That's how that system basically survives. So of course they're going to say that. You know what I'm saying? Everything is a form of warfare here on this planet.
Right. Of course, they
That's what
will say that.
patriarchy is. That's what patriarchy is. It's the epitome of war, and that war in itself is connected to capitalism. So that's why I said it subjugates the matriarch, because it takes you away from natural law and natural order in the natural ways of planet Earth.
Oh, do you recommend, since we're on the topic of heat, do you recommend heaters? People to buy a heater?
I'm not sure about that, but you can actually buy home built saunas too. You can get some on Amazon. I don't know if they have the same healing properties. I don't know if it's going to extract a lot more sweat, but like if you can get into a sauna or whatever, or a steam room, as far as like buying a heater, I don't really know about that. I mean, some people do hot yoga, so I mean, it can be one of those things where you can tap into that. Hot yoga is also one of those things where you can unlock those blockages within the body, because hot yoga is when they turn up the heat and they just be in a room. It's like you're doing yoga inside of a sauna or a steam room. You're going to be drenched. So a lot of times, like I said, I stretch when I'm inside the steam room. I stretch. I stand up because heat has the ability to elevate. Heat rises to the top. So when you stand up in a steam room, it activates a lot more of the sun heat genes within you. So standing up in a sauna, working out in a sauna, like as far as like some people run in place inside of the sauna or a steam room or whatever. So anything that's going to make you extract a lot more sweat is actually good for the body.
So next question. When it comes to, the race of melanated people, do you recommend this only for the melanated people or for all races?
What, as far as what?
As far as making that importance to sweat out your body and importance to get the sun.
Oh, it's important for everybody to sweat, but as far as like during this time period, when you're talking about the Great Awakening period, as we in the sun cycle, you have to get these energies that's coming from the star Polaris, because that's the true spiritual sun. So you get people talking about, oh, I want to activate my powers. How you gonna do that when your ass ain't in the sun? Because that was basically the symbology of the spiritual cutoff, when they tell you that Satan separated the intergalactic waters from the third dimension. So that spiritual cutoff is when you have the fermented dome. The firmament is what blocks out the spiritual sun to where you're not able to tap into the energy. So now, since the veil is being lifted as we broke out the Kali Yuga cycle, these new energies that's coming in is where you're activating your telepathic abilities. It's coming from the true spiritual sun. So that's why sometimes when you looking at your phone or whatever, somebody might pop up, and then you go to the grocery store and you see them and you ain't seen them in a long time. That means that those telepathic abilities is starting to come online. It means that you're vibrating along with the planet. So it's imperative that you got to go out into the sun, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, however long you can take it, work out in the sun. That's one of the things I'm going to incorporate within myself. I'm not just going to be only subjected to working out in the gym. I'm going to be working out outside as well.
Right. What gym membership you got?
Shit, I got like 4 or 5 of them. I got I go to Planet Fitness, I go to Bob's Gym, and then I also go to YMCA. The reason I go to Bob's Gym sometimes is when I can't get into the steam room at the YMCA, I go to Bob's Gym and they got the sauna. That's just basically my alternative, basically.
So you still use the sauna as well?
Yeah, I use it as a secondary.
Secondary. Okay.
it's not a secondary thing.
Because I mean, the gym I go to LA Fitness, bro. They don't got no steam room. They just got the sauna.
Okay.
Yeah, LA Fitness. I mean, what you think about LA Fitness?
I say I've never been to one. We don't have LA Fitness in the Midwest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dang. So going into the heat, since we're on the topic of the sun and things like that, when do you feel like the solar flare is going to happen?
The solar flares has been happening because that's when you having a manipulation in the technological grid system.
But like the main big solar flare.
So when you're talking about the great solar flash, the great solar flash is basically gonna knock out the whole energetic power grid in totality, because the power grid in itself is connected to the electrical grid system that also works in tandem with the firmament, because the firmament is a form of a technology that has a regeneration technology. It's kind of like the same thing. You ever seen the movies, the superhero movies, where a superhero, he get his arm blown off and it grows right back?
Yeah. Like an X-Men, they have the healing factor where they grow back everything.
Yeah, it's a regeneration system. That's what the firmament does. It has a regeneration system. So these new energies, these coronal mass ejections and these solar flares that's in the planet, it basically dematerializes that energy, which is also the net of Indria. And the net of Indria is what they call the Draconian reptilian net. So that's why it's not coincidence that you have the inner net that's connected to the energetic frequency of the Draconian reptilian net, because the net in itself is connected to all electrical energy on the planet, all technological devices on the planet. So it's not a coincidence that the internet is connected to the Draconian reptilian net, the net around the planet that blocks out certain energies. But like I said, the bell is lifted now. We in the sun cycle. That sun cycle is basically exposing everything under the grid system. So this is where you get into the liquid crystal technology. So the liquid crystal technology is basically how these entities are able to absorb the energy from technological radiation to hide their true form. So that's why I said that for Draconian reptilians, shape-shifting is not a spiritual ability, it's a technology.
Wow.
So now when it comes to us, we're able to shapeshift because, like I said, we have spiritual animals. We have spiritual animals that we're connected to by way of certain cultures or whatever. So when you activate the God mind, that's when you're able to shapeshift into these spiritual animals. You ever seen the movie, the old TV show called Animorphs? It's kind of like Power Rangers, but yeah, these teenagers, they were able to shapeshift. That was a spiritual energy that they was tapped into. So that's when it kind of goes into the same mythology of what's the movie? Wakanda, when you're talking about the Black Panther. That's a spiritual energy. But as far as Draconian reptilians and other entities and all these other particular grades, shape-shifting is a technology for them. So that's why the sleep spell in itself is connected to the electrical grid that works in tandem with the energetic frequency of the moon and the energetic frequency of planet Saturn, because that creates the holographic projections of the simulation.
I heard Saturn, me, I study astrology. I heard Saturn is a very cold planet. Do you know about this?
Yes, Saturn is the epitome of the fallen planet, because Saturn used to be a star, so it's a dead star. So planet Saturn is actually comprised of gases. It's a gas planet. Look it up. It's a gas planet that has a ring around it. So
yeah,
when
the
you
ring,
understand the esoteric aspect of it, the word nomad is equated to Saturn, because those who came down, when you talking about the cherubim, the 200 fallen angels, Saturn is basically a representation of those fallen Draconians that came to this planet and made it with the daughters of men. So that's why when you understand the Canaanite and the Draconian reptilian genetical lineage or whatever, their historical context is comprised of the fact that they don't actually belong to the planet because they're nomads. So it's connected to Enlil, and that's how you get into the diametrical differences between Enki and Enlil. Enki is the lord of the earth. which is connected to. That's why we're connected to the seeds of Inky, because we're connected to that bloodline by way of birthright. So the birthright in itself is what connects us to the land. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
gives us nationality. Nationality comes from the word nativity. Nativity comes from the word birthright. Our birthright comes from Inky. We're the seeds of Inky. The word Inky means Lord of Earth. Enlil, Lord of the Sky. Lord of the Sky, or Satan being the Prince of Air. So that's why they said as Satan is equated to Saturn. Saturn is a gas planet. It's a fallen sun. It's a dead sun. It's a dead star. So that's what it's talking about. Saturn is equated to Chronos and things of that nature. So everybody understand the mythology of Saturn when it comes to how things are able to take place on planet Earth.
Yeah. And the fact that Saturn rules over karma, it rules over, restrictions, boundaries. We have a Saturn return at, age starts at age 27, ends at age 30. Yeah. What do you think about
Saturn was also extracting energy from the Draconian star constellation, because when we broke out the Kali Yuga cycle, that was the paradigm shift from going from the Alpha Dracona star system to the star Polaris, because the precessional circle of the equinox is basically like the management who manages the planet. So you have star systems outside of the dome in the magnetosphere. So the precessional circle of the equinox, all the Piscean age of darkness was being facilitated by the Draconian star constellation, which subjugated nature to where they created Draconian law under patriarchy. So it's not a coincidence that patriarchy and Draconian law works in tandem, to where they have to implement fear. That's how their system works, fear. So by way of the extraction of fear is how these entities in the lower fourth dimension, the demiurge, which is comprised of the lower fourth dimension and the third dimension, that's where they extract the fear by way of our neurological faculties and by way of our genetics, because that's when you get the extraction of neurons that's coming from the body, from technology and fear, to where they upload it on the neuromorphic cyber cloud. So everything on this planet at one point in time during the Piscean age of darkness, the third dimension, was based on extracting your genetics to where it subjugates the spiritual energy to where you're not able to tap into your true power.
Wow. So let me ask you this. Do you feel like the internet is an actual entity? Because some people believe that the internet has a soul. So every time you post something, if it goes viral, it's like the Galactic Council made it go viral. And then sometimes you post something, it doesn't do nothing. That's because the universe doesn't want it to do nothing. So do you feel like the universe is connected to the internet?
I wouldn't say that, because the universe is within us. Our genetical structure works in tandem with the universe. So everything as far as like technology, it's an artificial construct. It's a synthetic reality that basically mimics natural law and natural nature, which mimics also the universe. So everything that technology does is is basically emulating what happens in the cosmos. So it's basically, you know what I'm saying, that's what archons do. An archon doesn't have the ability to create. An archon basically extracts energy from those who are connected to the planet. It emulates it. So an archon or a draconian reptilian, they don't have the ability to create within this simulation. They create through our energy of creation.
So I want to ask you this. So there's some people, they can't handle the heat, and I don't know if it's a diet, but why can't they handle the heat? Like even if they go into a sauna, within 5 minutes they're already crying or already trying to leave. Even in the sun, they're already like whining, or there's some black, and their mind's skin color, but they cannot take the heat. What does that mean, BDELL?
Too many Big Macs. Too many Big Macs. But you know what I'm saying? Like they when you eat a lot of bad foods, as I was telling you in the beginning of the video, a lot of these parasites are basically comprised of nanoparticles. Nanoparticles is comprised of genetically modified foods. So when you eat these foods, it locks down your genetical structure. That is what you get your personification of a lunar light lock energy, because the nanoparticles within the food, those parasites, works in tandem with the moon. The moon is energy and motion, right? Where you extract a lot of emotions. So the parasites, they create a glycolytic enzyme, which is a emotional gas hormone. So these parasites that's inside the food, it basically subjugates the true spiritual energy to where it subjugates the emotions to where you're not able to use your emotions as a navigation system.
And then also, you know how they talk about the food you eat also has a strong connection to your emotions. That's why they call them, what's it called? They genetically made these foods to alter your emotions. That's why you'll be fasting and then you eat a food off that fast, and now you're a little bit more emotional, and now you're feeling a little bit more, angry sometimes. Even same with the music.
Yeah, because you're not actually addicted to the food, you're addicted to the chemicals. So that's why they call it the FDA. You know what I'm saying? The reason they call it that, because like I said, the food that you eat is actually a drug by way of the chemicalization. So you're not addicted to the food, you're addicted to the chemicals. Everything, you know what I'm saying, as far as the chemical imbalance, it creates a spiritual imbalance within you. It throws off the whole endocrine system. It throws it off.
So, hey, BDELL, can you explain the link between Superman and the melanated beings, and how Superman is also a representation of us?
Well, when you're talking about the tri-solar system, when you're talking about the inception of creation, the tri-solar system is comprised of three suns, which is Utu, Apsu, and Shamash. You got a red sun, a yellow sun, and a blue sun that's connected to the color spectrum of Superman's garments. So Superman, he was able to draw in his energy through an influx of electrical plasma energy that activates the melanin. So when you activate the melanin, that's when you tap into your true power. So it activates the sun heat genes. The sun heat genes, which are granulations and prominences. So this is also connected to the esoteric aspect of Jesus. That's why the word Jesus has a lot of power to it, because Jesus comes from the word Jesus. Jesus is coming from the word gases, and those gases are non-Ethereal frequencies that's copulating with the carbon body. So that's why when you watch some of the old Superman movies, the one, they equated him to having a Christ energy. He was basically the personification of the Christ. When he came down, he was basically politicking with the people. They treated him like Jesus, Superman, in the movie. He was like their epitome of the Most High. He was their epitome of a savior. He was basically the symbology of a savior in that movie. So when you activate those genes, that's when you become the Christ. You become the savior, because you save yourself. When you save yourself, you save everybody else around you, to where it creates a harmonic convergence. That harmonic convergence is comprised of the 144,000. 1 + 4 + 4 = 9. So when everybody activates the 9 ether energy, that's when everybody becomes the Christ. So it's not one of those things where we're going to have a messianic figure. The messianic figure is everybody when they tap into that energy. When they tap into the same energy that Superman was tapping into. So you got to get these solar frequencies.
There was one Superman movie. Did you ever watch it where he got killed?
Yeah.
Yeah, he got killed by, what's his name? Some of the comments probably know it. I forgot his name.
I think he got
the kid, the big monster.
No, I think it was it Batman that cleaned him up? He got see Batman. You gotta understand about Batman. Batman is the epitome of white privilege. He doesn't have any powers. Batman doesn't have any powers. He was an op, basically. Batman was a whole op.
I picked that up.
The government, you know what I'm saying? He was a rich man. So like I said, he, you know what I'm saying, his power was white privilege. He didn't have no damn powers. You know what I'm saying? He just had enough money to go get, you know what I'm saying, all the weapons and all the resources.
Really intelligent. So you're saying Superman was like the black person, the black personification, while Batman was like the white personification.
Yeah, it's basically best way I can explain it.
That's why they put them against each other.
Matriarchy, patriarchy.
Wow, and I'm not thinking they made a movie about Batman versus Superman. That's like a subliminal to show that white man versus black man, us versus you know what I'm saying?
And when you look at it from an esoteric standpoint, because the S on Superman's chest was a serpent with a pyramid around it. The serpent is how you activate that energy, the non-Etherian energy, by way of the Kundalini activation. So the serpentine energy that actually goes against the draconic energy that's connected to Dracula, which is also connected to the Batman.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So it's basically talking about the serpent versus the draconian.
Wow. That is, you know, that's crazy how they show it in the movies. So in the are there any other movies that's coming up to where we as brothers and sisters should, you know, pay a lot of close attention to?
Watch that new Avatar movie.
Okay.
Because the new Avatar on Netflix, because when you become the Avatar, you become the ether. So the ether, when it collaborates with the 4 elements, air, water, fire, earth, that's when you master everything all around you. So when you become the Avatar, you master all 4 elements. So the only element that masters all 4 elements is the quintessential alchemical element, which is the 5th element, which is ether. Ether is how you activate everything all around you. Ether is how you activate the carbon. Carbon is the building block of all civilization. So when you activate the ether, it can cause destruction or it can cause creation. Right? So it's one of those things where, you know, watch that movie. It's really talking about, you know, the ascension process. Another movie I think people should watch, just for, like, you know, a concept of, you know, I'm gonna just give you a rundown of all the good esoteric movies to watch. So
yeah, there's a lot of movie heads.
If you're into movies, if tonight is your night off, watch these movies. Watch Starry Eyes. Starry Eyes is a good movie because it's talking about how you can sell your soul to get into the movie industry. Watch They Live. They Live is basically talking about how we living in a simulation and everything is being controlled by an outside force, which is a extraterrestrial species that basically galvanizes the planet. Watch watch Avatar. It's talking about the mastering the 4 elements. Watch what's another movie? I just watched it. Again, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. You should watch the movie with Tom Cruise in it. It's called Eyes Wide Shut, and it's talking about the reality of secret societies. Very good movie. I've been watching that movie since I was like 13. Watch the movie The Legend with Tom Cruise in it. I used to watch that movie all the time as a kid. There's another movie that brings out esoteric secrets, because a lot of the older movies is breaking down, you know, everything that's taking place as far as like what's happening. Right, Dark Crystal, the old Dark Crystal. Watch that movie.
Someone told me that a teacher that I know, she was telling me that Harry Potter has a lot of hints in it. Everything in Harry Potter is real, based on a magic level.
Yeah, it is. It is. I never really did a break. See, I'm more of a person. I'd rather read the book than watch the movies. I never really read all the. I never really watched all the Harry Potter movies, but I got all the books. I got like the collector's edition. I got those books.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would read the books. You know what I'm saying, instead of watching the movie. I probably only seen like 3 Harry Potter movies or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, I've been watching a few of them. It's been very interesting how much, you know, stuff they show in there. You know, how much rituals they do for literally everything. Everything's a ritual.
Trying to figure out some more movies. It's a whole bunch of movies, and man, it exposes everything.
I watched Aquaman. I just watched that recently. Did you see it?
Yeah, that's a good movie to watch too.
You just saw the new one?
Yeah, because it shows you the reality of a galactic council inside the Earth. Because you have a galactic federation, then you have an intergalactic federation. Intergalactic federation is when you're talking about the subterranean kingdoms of the Shibuya Shambhala, the Rainbow City, that goes into Tibetan mythology because they believe that there is a subterranean civilization. So it's all connected to that. So you have an intergalactic federation, and then you have the Galactic Federation. Then you also have a Galactic Federation of Light, which is Ashtar Command. So the Galactic Federation is comprised of your Anunnaki, other factions that work with the Anunnaki. So you got different ones. So you got movies. What's the Jupiter Ascending is a good movie.
Yes, that's a good movie I watched. Yes, yeah. Jupiter Ascending. Yes,
Jupiter Ascending.
You ever seen that one Netflix movie called Freaks?
Nope, I've never seen it.
Yeah, that's a good one. Freaks. It's a little woman, a little child, and she got superpowers.
Okay, I'm gonna check that out. Is it still on there?
Yeah, I think it is one of the best ones. I watched that like 3 times.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But for those who are into the occult, watch Eyes Wide Shut. That's going to give you a perspective on how they really do things.
How do you spell it? Eyes Wide Shut?
Yeah, Eyes Wide Shut.
Okay, Eyes Wide Shut. Wow.
And what's crazy is because like that movie is a reality because I have a friend who lives in upstate New York, and he actually been to a party.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to air his name out, but he's in the music industry. People know who he is.
Yeah.
He's not one of those people who are just like sitting behind the scenes or whatever. Like people know he has a name, but he said those parties and stuff are real.
What parties?
As far as like masquerade parties, wearing masks, doing.
They happen in New York. They happen in New York too.
Yeah, because when you understand like a lot of the the black nobility and stuff like that, the great majority of them they live in upstate New York. They have their own community. It's like a gated community, and it's like where a lot of people in Switzerland, which is the only country on the planet that hasn't had a war. Yeah, Switzerland, gated communities there that's being controlled by the black nobility, and then you in upstate New York you have ones which is also the Buffalino family. They are the ones who control Jay-Z. They basically control his music career. So you got black nobility. They all live in upstate New York. But I'm not sure if I'm not sure if the Buffalino family is I think they're Italian, but I'm not sure if they black nobility, but I know they live in upstate New York. They got all throughout Syracuse, all throughout Buffalo, all throughout Rochester, New York City. So that's how they hide their hand. They hide their hands behind the scenes by operating in gated communities. Like they literally don't even leave their house. They control the world.
I heard New York is like the Babylon, like the guinea pig city.
There's a city in New York called Babylon.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I always thought LA was the only state to where they did all the parties and mask, the secret rituals. But I didn't know what happened in New York because I've talked to a few people from New York, and they always. I'm not trying to rub no people from New York the wrong way, but they always got like a energy that's like it's always off. Like New York people energy be off, and they like they're just so fast.
I'm from New York, so like I was born in New York, but I grew up in Indiana, so I never lived my adult life in New York City or whatever. I still got family that live there, but as far as it's just a different vibration in New York City. The reason I say that is because when you understand the inception of the conscious community, a lot of that stuff started in New York City. A lot of it. That's where the
community.
Yeah, most of it. That's where you had New York's. He had his Nuwabian nation and the Ansar Allah community. All that was there. Then you had Brother Rich. He was on Broadway on 144th. He was doing all the conscious community. Like before he had a YouTube, you know what I'm saying? He was outside with the camera. You know what I'm saying? So the great majority of all, the teachers and everything, they came from New York City. Because there's a certain energy there. Because I told you, you got 7 energy centers in the geographical landmass of America. And the energy centers is basically of how they subjugate the energy of the planet by pulling in energy from the Big Dipper star constellation that works in tandem with the moon. So they pulling in negative energy to subjugate that energy. But like I said, you have holes inside of the firmament to where sometimes these fractions of light are able to come in and give an activation to the planet. But that was during the Piscean age, though. We in the sun cycle. We in the age of Aquarius. So like I said, the veil is lifted. So that's why all this stuff right now is actually taking place. People, you know, activating their throat chakra to where they speak in truth. You got, you know, in the time right now where everybody is looking for some type of edification that puts them in alignment to true knowledge. People want to know what's going on now.
Yeah. Facts. Logic is getting stronger. And it's funny how we both sevens, you know, we was having that conversation. We had that conversation on the 25th. 2 + 5 is 7. You know, so every life path number has 3 special days where you gain the most luck on.
Exactly. So like I said, that's what the age of Aquarius is all about. It's all about logic and rationality, to where you tap into right knowledge, which makes you righteous. So I tell people all the time, like, people are coming to the understanding that, you know what I'm saying, if, you know, Jesus gave you that good ass job, he got you that nice ass car, he bought you that big ass house, but how can you negate that when, you know, Jesus didn't even, you know, stop the slave trade? Right? You mean to tell me he gave you all this and didn't stop the slave trade? People are starting to wake up to that reality. They like, hold on, how I get this job, but he forgot about slavery and he didn't help all these people during that time period. He didn't stop, you know, theocracy and imperialism, and he didn't stop, you know, everything that subjugated us as, you know, indigenous people. So people are basically waking up to the sleep spell of religion. They're waking up from it.
Yeah, and do you know, this is a little controversial when it comes to the sun. Do you recommend people sun gaze at noon?
I'm not sure. I sun gaze anytime, you know what I'm saying, I got the chance to, because it helps activate the UV radiation light spectrum to where you're able to see beyond the illusion. So when you're able to see beyond the illusion, it activates the retinas of the eyes. It activates the retinas of the eye because it activates the true spiritual eye, which is the pineal gland.
Yes, because it'll be like back in when I sun gaze for a long time, I would really see through a lot of people easier. This is back when I was working 9 to 5. I was sun gaze and I was look at people and I'm like, damn, this person is just, you know, you could just read through the matrix a little bit. And it also activates the crown chakra, right?
Yeah,
because I always start to predict like events, like you know, when you activate your clears, you can kind of predict when someone's about to call you. You could like, hey, someone's about to call you or text you, and you could just get a feeling because you get like these thought waves, these thought forms of someone thinking about you. This happens when you really tap into your real clears, you know, your clairaudience, your clairvoyances, your clairsentiences was just feeling. You start to really just like even your ex, if your ex start thinking about you, you will just feel it. Like, and then they'll text you or view your story. So every time, even the dreams, and I know you do a lot of dream work too, but dreams are like never wrong. I just find that to be like funny. If you see someone in your dream, they thinking about you. They thinking about you.
Got you on some level. So like I said, when you sun gazing, because one thing you got to understand, the two physical eyes is acclimated to the two celestial bodies inside of the sun. Inside of the planet. So the two physical eyes is acclimated to the two celestial bodies inside of the dome, the sun and the moon. So that is the false light, because it's not giving you the true spiritual energy to where you activate the true spiritual eye. The true spiritual eye is connected to the star Polaris, sun and moon, Polaris. The true spiritual eye is connected to these ethereal frequencies and these coronal mass ejections that's coming to the planet. So that's when you look at a Freemasonic symbol, it's showing you the first two celestial bodies of the sun and the moon encapsulated inside of a dome. Then you have the star Polaris that activates those two celestial bodies, and those two celestial bodies activates the black sun. The black sun inside the planet. And the black sun is also connected to your solar plex, which activates the carbon body. So
you see your solar plexus?
Yeah.
The black sun?
Yeah, the black sun. I mean, it's not a coincidence that they call it a solar plex.
Right,
Why is it?
right. Okay, I know the sun, but you said the black sun, but our solar plexus
Yeah,
is yellow. But you're just saying that as a personification, a
the
symbol, a
black.
symbol.
What I'm saying, the black sun is it's an allegory. It's not a literal black sun inside the planet. The black
Right.
sun is basically the supersonic battery of planet Earth. So when it raises up the
Mm,
vibration that activates the carbon, the black sun is the carbon. It's the activation of the dark energy,
mm,
which causes chaos. Consciousness dematerializes the third dimension. So the more people wake up,
mm-hmm.
the more you have a manipulation in the grid system, the more you expose religion, the more you start to wake up from the sleep spell.
Yeah, I heard just the thought forms alone wakes people up. So when you wake up, that your aura alone wakes up the city, because it's like, let's say there's 5 woke people in the town, and it becomes 15 woke people. Those woke people are now
Hold on.
stimulating the aura. Oh, you good?
Yeah,
You
I'm
hear me?
good. Yeah, you was pausing and stuff for a second there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, though. Yeah. But when you wake up, you stimulate the aura of city of people around you. So your neighbors start to, like, feel it a little bit. This is why you play frequencies, and your neighbors start to, like, be like, dang, they might start looking at you weird. I might start asking you questions. I've had this happen to me. But have you ever noticed that with neighbors specifically?
I live in a community where there's a lot of Jehovah Witnesses, and they scared of me.
Ooh.
We already had that conversation, and I told them like
Yeah.
and then I was pointing out certain scriptures in the Bible that shows the hypocrisy of the religion that they venerate. They scared of me. They don't.
Right.
They see my Moorish flag hanging outside my house or whatever. They don't fuck with me. You know what I'm saying? Like they see me. They see me and they put their head down.
Yeah.
But they are, because I already know. When you live around like Jehovah Witnesses or whatever and stuff, like they literally like I'm like around a hive of Jehovah Witnesses. I don't know if they did that on purpose, because I was here before they was here, and I don't know if like the government was like, hey, get around that nigga. That nigga's talking too much.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest, bro. I grew up with Jehovah's Witness, bro. Like, that was the religion I was born into. But I broke out of it. when I turned like 18, 19, just from meditating, and when that quarantine happened, I just started to meditate, broke out of it, and I seen the religion for what it was. I seen it for a scam. It is a true, but it's hard to break out of, though, because they really indoctrinate your mind, bro. They literally they really get in your mind, bro. They train you to believe that when you die, that's it. They train you to believe that there is no paradise. I mean, that there is a paradise, like there's like a paradise earth, and that you can live forever, and that Jesus is Jehovah's son and all this. So I studied a lot of cultures, a lot of religions, man. But that's the one that's hard to break out of, because they're the religion that actually they don't believe in nothing. They don't believe in birthdays. They're like against the world, but it's a really hard. It's like the strictest religion, because you can't even have a beard. You can't. There's a lot of things you can't do in it. They just made it now to where you can have a beard. You can have a beard in the religion, though.
That's
But
crazy.
you have to wait until marriage to sleep with the person. They're really strict on that.
I mean, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because, like I said, during matriarchal orders, if you slept with that woman, that's your wife. It's a wrap, bro. Like that's your woman for life. Anytime you lay down with a woman, she is your wife. So that's why a lot of times during the matriarchal civilizations back in the inception of time and the sun cycles or whatever, that's why men had so many wives, because they was laying down with so many women. But that's how you build up a civilization. You know what I'm saying? You build up the civilization through the matriarchal energy by tapping into the divine feminine. You know what I'm saying? You got to have, you got a lady here, lady here, lady here, lady here. I mean, you can't really do that now, because, like I said, everybody is so compromised right now. People are just in it, you know what I'm saying, for the wrong reasons.
Right. You got brother Yaki Awakening. He has, he's polygamous and he's doing it successfully.
Yeah.
But someone like he's a good example.
You have to have a supreme spiritual and mental fortitude to do it. Because, like I said, it's not one of those things where you're using it for sexual recreation. You know what I'm saying? Just because you want to have a damn threesome. You should supposed to be using it for nation building. Okay, I want that woman because she knows how to sew. I want that woman because she knows how to garden. Okay, she know how to start a business. Oh, this other one, she know how to start a business. So that's how you build up civilizations. You're supposed to use it as an inception point to build the civilization. When you create a civilization, that's when you create your own autonomous body of a whole infrastructure, a whole government. So that's why I'm saying, like, you know, the man is supposed to be the law and the woman is supposed to be the order. That's how it goes. That's Mayat. That's balance. That's what matriarchy is. But now, because of patriarchy and capitalism, I don't want him because he ain't making a certain amount of money. He ain't making 100,000. He ain't bringing in that bag. He ain't driving that Benz. I don't want that nigga. You know what I'm saying? That's the time that we're living in right now. That is a three-dimensional frequency. So now we live in a time right now, you know, it's kind of hard for you to even tap into that energy, you know what I'm saying, to where you can be polygamous or whatever. But the inception of it, you're supposed to be using for nation building, right? Because it all starts with the household. Because if the woman is out of order, the whole civilization is out of order. When the whole civilization is out of order, the whole goddamn planet is out of order. Because the woman is not operating in her divine role. Because of patriarchy threw off the energy of the woman to where she has to take on the masculine principle. So now the woman is the man by way of the energetic frequency of masculinity, and now the man is effeminate. You know what I'm saying? So now the roles is actually reversed. So now we're going into a time where everything is going right back into its natural order by way of the cosmic clock. So the cosmic clock basically dematerializes the illusion that was subjugated under the Piscean age of darkness, which is patriarchy. So that's what's going on. I'm starting to see
it myself too. Like when I go around, I notice that some divine feminine goddesses, they just naturally have a more masculine energy, and you know, it's just natural now. It's not like, you know, they can help it. You know, it's like they have to get money. They have to, you know, survive now. So now they have to put that guard up, you know, and this is just how it is. And I see the men sometimes it's going, the masculine energy is going down a little bit. You know, they're getting a little bit more emotional.
I'm going to tell you why, because you have, you know, by way of the chemicalization of warfare, you have, the testosterone of men has dropped 21% since the 1980s. It's been
I thought it was 3 times.
Huh?
I thought it was 3 times. Someone said it was 3 times. Like it dropped triple. 21%. Yeah. Okay.
21% according to, you know, my independent research. So it's dropped 21%. That's a lot, bro.
Yeah, it is a lot.
Wow. That's a lot. And then, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, that was like, you know, when I seen that was like 2 years ago. So it could be the number could have been inflated by now. So like I said, you know, it's one of those things where they make the woman more masculine, taking her out of her natural habitat in her divine role, and they make the man even more effeminate. So like I said, now this is where you get gender wars. Nah, he supposed to be doing this. Nah, she supposed to be doing this. I ain't supposed to be doing that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like now everybody like you
on social media, you see a lot of women now taking care of men on social media. I know this is not like all the time, but you see the woman going to work, the man's at home, he's just, you know, watching the kids, eating the food. You know, she comes home, she cooks a dinner, and she cooks for him, and she's doing all the work.
See, that ain't how it's supposed to be, because matriarchy is where the men rule through the women. But when you rule through the woman, there is no, hey, you do this and I do that. No, y'all work together. Patriarchy, I sit back, hey, go make me a sandwich. That's patriarchy. You know, like I said, it basically subjugates the energy of the woman, because patriarchy is connected to the symbology of the moon. The moon is what extracts the energy, the divine feminine energy from the women. So that's why all religions subjugate the woman, because every religion works on the Sabbath. Religion is a soul trap, right? Subjugates the true spiritual energy. So like I said, that's why the woman is not in her divine role. That big ass quantum satellite that you see in the sky is drawing all the energy from the woman. Extracted, because like I said,
what you mean? Wait, repeat that. You said the big satellite in the sky is extracting all the energy from the woman?
Yeah, the moon is a quantum satellite.
Okay. The moon. Yeah, okay. I thought you were talking about something else.
No, the moon is a quantum satellite. It's an artificial celestial megastructure, and it's being used for a interstellar vortex portal for reincarnation purposes. So anything that's connected to the material plane is the sleep spell, and the sleep spell, by way of the emotional energy, puts you in a state of reincarnation, to where you come back to planet Earth because of your emotional connections to it. So now, when you understand people who got altars, people who have altars, when they trying to tap into the ancestors or whatever, or they trying to tap into a family member, what they do, they put certain items on the altar in order to pull in that energy from the ancestor, because anything that's connected to the material plane is going to bring you right back to this damn place every time. But you know, that's the thing though. You're supposed to ascend. You're supposed to die and never come back. So that's connected to the Kemetic book of life and the Kemetic book of the dead. The Kemetic book of life is where your heart was weighed on the scales of Mayat to where it's light as a feather, because your emotions is not connected to the material plane to where you're able to ascend. Now, reincarnation is connected to the Kemetic book of the dead. The Kemetic book of the dead, meaning that you're going to be reincarnated. So, like I said, incarnation, reincarnation. That's what it's about.
And this is going back until when we was talking about the emotions and how the emotions is connected to the moon, and the moon, you know, gives us that, you know, that fake emotional response to things. Yeah,
that's what, you know what I'm saying. So they know, they did a number on us. That's why, like I said, the women got 28 day cycle. They extracting that energy. You know what I'm saying? Because the woman, she's not supposed to have a menstrual cycle.
I'll get some women around me, they'll ask me how to shorten their cycle. How do you shorten it? Like, you know, they might have it for 5-6 days.
I don't know. Okay. See, that's one thing I haven't really looked into, but it's possible, you know.
It's possible,
but, you know, but you never know though. Like I said, you know, we in the sun cycle now. You got these new energies hitting the planet, you know. It could be one of those things where it stops happening all over the planet, you know what I'm saying, to certain women. You know,
I know one woman as well. She throws up on her every month on her period. She throws up. What does that mean? You know,
I don't know. Like I said, don't give me the moon.
Yeah. So it's like, it's crazy how you say the moon. Like, I really feel like the moon is something going on. If you know, people are throwing up on every period, like since she was a kid.
Yeah, it's the epitome of synthetic energy. The moon is not natural. The moon was towed into the dome from planet Jupiter. It was brought over here by the Draconian reptilian factions in Ashtar Command. Because they, like I said, in order for this matrix system and this energy extraction matrix to work, what they do is, you know, they create materialistic possessions to where your soul is connected to the energetic frequency of materialism. So what happens is, like, for instance, like religion. If you have an emotional connection to religion, because I'm a Christian because I was brought up into it. My grandmother, you know, we was brought up this way, and I'm not gonna get away from that. You know, that's a soul trap. So they know by way of your emotions, you can trap the soul. So when you trap the soul by way of, you know, many different relics that's connected to all these monotheistic religions, like I said, when you show credence to that energy, you know, when you die, you know what I'm saying, your soul is extracted inside of a supercomputer on the dark side of the moon. And then that's when Saturn extracts that same energy and uploads it into the hexahedron cube of Saturn. So the cube is acclimated to all the symbology of the symbols in religion. You got the Kaaba in Mecca, then you got the crucifix that turns into a cube, and then you got the Star of David. All these things is connected to the cube of Saturn. So like I said, it's a form of religion, is a form of spiritual entrapment. So if you have your emotions connected to those religions, you're going to be reincarnated.
So this is a little tricky question. You know, you yourself, you're an air sign. But a lot of people in the last video I talked about, you know, we collaborated on. We talked about, you know, the emotions are fake, but a lot of people are low-key naturally emotional. Now, for instance, Cancers, they're ruled by the moon. And this is like, I was getting messages about that. How do you, if someone's a Cancer and they're ruled by the moon, how do they disconnect from that emotions? It's a little bit of a tricky question, though.
The reason they believe that, because your gematria body is connected to the simulation. the simulation in itself is not older than planet Earth. Because as I told you before, the moon was told into this and told into the Earth zone. The moon wasn't here at first. So that's why I said it's unnatural. That's what you go to. You got to read some of Credo Mutua's books. He's a Zulu shaman. And he was telling you in the book how at one point in time, there was no moon in our solar system. It tells you that in Zulu mythology. So that goes because they believe in the whole draconian reptilian factions or whatever. Even when you go into hieroglyphics, I don't even think that they have a credence to the moon.
So if this is true, that means astrology is a little bit off.
That's why so a lot of the Nuwabians, they study solar astrology.
Solar astrology.
Solar astrology.
Okay. You got so many astrologies. You got sidereal, you got Vedic, you got, true sidereal, Western tropical. It's so much, because the calendars are messed up a little bit. So I'm still trying to figure out which one is real myself.
I would say solar astrology because it's connected to the sun cycle. The inception of time started with a sun cycle. The first precessional circle of the equinox. So the first 6,000 years of the planet, it was all sun cycle. That's when you had your fifth dimensional civilizations, when you're talking about Atlantis, because everything was a natural quantum energy. Everything was natural energy. You was able to, use free energy. You ever heard of anthracite coal? Anthracite coal has the ability to give free energy to planet Earth for at least 500 million years.
So
and they have that mineral. They have that mineral in the lands beyond the ice wall. And you also have the elixir of you have water, which is a form of an elixir over outside of the dome in Antarctica. When you go beyond the land masses and the ice wall, whatever, they have water over there that basically prolongs the vitality of you being on the planet. So, it makes you immortal, basically.
How does someone get from being less emotional to becoming more logical?
Using your emotions as a navigation system. So you can't be so much to the point where you're not operating from a state of polarization. Not too negative, not too positive. You right there in the middle. Because when you're in the middle, that's when you can basically delineate, oh, that's some bullshit. No, this is some real shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can just use your discernment, because when you're able to tap into your true spiritual energy, by using your emotions as a navigation system, that's when you're able to use your intuition. Because you're not, you're not biased on anything. You're not Democrat, Republican. You're not, positive or negative, happy, sad. You right there. You're content.
Appreciate all the live viewers. We going in with BDELL. You guys don't know, this channel did change to B5. Took Beyond 5, beyond out the name. Beyond just holds too much energy, too much high expectations. So I'm just really, going through a little change. But I appreciate everyone who's been supporting. And we got ourselves the one and only Life Path 7, BDELL1014. And we're going in. We're talking about, melanin. We're talking about the heat. We're talking about the sun, the saunas, on the importance of saunas. And we're also going a little bit down the rabbit hole when it comes to things esoteric type, movies. But going forward, BDELL, you said for women or anyone who's emotional, to use their navigation system.
Yeah.
Does that mean use it as a what?
Yeah. Use your emotions as a navigation system. That's how you got to use it. You got to use it to navigate through the matrix, not to be subjugated by the matrix. Because what's the first thing women do, you know what I'm saying, or anybody who doesn't have their emotions intact, the first thing they do when they get in a relationship, they busting car windows, they slashing tires, they throwing tomatoes at you. You know what I'm saying? They doing anything that's basically diabolical, because, like I said, your emotions is going to deceive you every time. They're going to deceive you. Right. Because this is how you know emotions is not in a state of righteousness, because it becomes toxic. A person would tell you that the sky is green if the color blue hurts their feelings. Because, like I said, your feelings is acclimated to a certain emotion. So by way of the emotional energy, it becomes a form of toxicity. because then you believe in things that don't make sense. You say things that don't make sense. You do things that don't make sense, which is a form of demonic possession. So by way of the emotional energy emotions that's connected to the energy of the moon, the lunar cycle, this is where these entities are able to control you within the simulation by way of the emotional energy that's connected to the physical plane and materialism on planet Earth.
Yeah, I asked that question because astrologically, you know, you got some people who are water signs who naturally they emotional, they get moody, you know, or sometimes people can't control that emotions that they feel. They get moody, they get a little bit jealous, they get envy, you know, they get sad, depressed, sentimental. Like they said, water signs are more sentimental, meaning like they're a little bit more darker, you know. So I had to ask that question just to help, you know, my fellow water sign friends get out of those traps, you know, because myself, I feel good when I'm in a logical state. I know I can study, I can research, I can think things, I can solve problems, that practicality. Whereas if I'm in an emotional state, everything's chaos. Emotions is chaos. It's chaotic. When you're emotional,
Like, you ain't text me back. Like, bro, she's at work. You know she's at work. You know, logic would tell you she's not on break, bro. She's at work. You know what I'm saying? But emotional man, she ain't text me back. She must be with another dude. Like, you ain't supposed to be thinking like that. That's an effeminate energy. That's why I told you, by way of the emotional energy, like I said, it subjugates us on a spiritual level. So, like I said, that's what, you know, the propagation of right knowledge, when you're talking about Dr. Malachi York, right knowledge is the epitome of righteousness. Right knowledge is logic, sound right reasoning. So when you're not operating in sound right reasoning, you're operating from a place of emotion. When you're operating from a place of emotion, that's where demonic entities are able to control you. You know what I'm saying? They be like, oh man, she ain't text me. But, you know, that's, you know, you're not supposed to be operating like that, bro. You're supposed to be looking at everything from a very rational standpoint.
Yeah. They say blue is good for that too.
What
blue, just wearing blue crystals.
That's my favorite color.
Oh, blue, yeah.
Color. Mm-hmm.
Wow. I like blue too. I love, y'all get some blue crystal. Blue is real good for you, obviously on communication, but also calming, just calming things down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what about people who say, you know, being, you know, toxic masculine? They say that you can be too logical to where, you know, you have a woman and she's saying, yo, you're not emotionally available, you're not here for me. You get a lot of this, because I got this myself. I've heard other guys say that women would be like, they're emotional. Women will tell a guy that you're emotionally unavailable, you're never open.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Do you feel like a man can be too logical?
No, because logic is going to put you in the right state of mind every time. Because this is what logic does. Like, you're able to delineate, okay, if I'm in, like, this is what if I'm in a room full of women, if I'm in a room full of hoes, by way of my emotional energy, I'm going to be subjugated by that nature, because I'm not operating from a place of consciousness to where I supersede my nature to where I'm not going to cheat on my woman. Right? So that's what emotions do. So now, like, when you do have a consciousness, that activates right knowledge. So when you activate right knowledge, now I supersede my nature to not go fuck on another woman because I'm tapped in. I'm not going to, you know, because I know logically I have a good woman at home, so I'm not going to sacrifice my emotions for a good time. I'm not going to.
But wouldn't that?
I'm not going to sacrifice a good thing for a good time.
Wouldn't that be hormones though? Because if you want to sleep with another woman, wouldn't that be you having that sexual urge?
Yeah, it's still an emotion. It's still
that's an emotion.
It's all acclimated to emotions. It's, you know what I'm saying? Okay. It's all connected to your feelings. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's all connected to it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it's all about. It's one of those things where you gotta be conscious enough to where you supersede your nature. That's mastery. Mastery is righteousness. Everything in the universe moves on a logistical order. Anything that operates in logic and rationality has an order to it, has boundaries. If you don't have any boundaries, you're not spiritual. You know what I'm saying? If you're not able to have discipline, you're not spiritual. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where you supersede your nature. So what I tell people all the time, they think that, oh, Black Lives Matter, I love everybody. That's not spirituality.
Right.
That's false.
You mind if I say one experience?
What?
So I had an experience where I met a woman like 2 months ago, and she's spiritual, a Reiki healer. She does it all, but she's sexually liberated. So she believes that everyone deserves the love. So she was like, she told me that that's just part of her nature, that she's just sexually liberated, and she said love is unconditional. But you got conditional love. You got conditional love. You got unconditional love. And she was basically saying she's on the highest. But I was like, what? I didn't understand it. But what do you have to say about that?
See, the thing is, this is where people in the conscious community, they begin to negate scientific evidence through analytical data. So now, when you look at a sexually liberated woman, right? A sexually liberated woman is a masculine woman, and I'm gonna prove it to you, because she may operate in her femininity according to the aesthetic, but she's operating from a place of masculinity, because when you sleep with a lot of men, that creates a macrochimerism. A macrochimerism is basically the personification of warrior sperm. So when you sleep with many different men because you're sexually liberated, what happens is the macrochimerism travels up to the brain and rewires the neurotransmitters. Once it rewires the neurotransmitters, that's when you get the whole concept of thinking like a man. Because if you understand all women who lay down with a lot of dudes, what they do, they think like men. All right, I need to get me somebody else tonight. I need to go lay down with this. I need to go lay down with that one. So when you also understand the esoteric word of the prefix of the word liberation, which is liber. Liber is a demonic entity. So to be sexually liberated is to be sexually demonic.
Wait. You said libero is a demonic entity?
Liber, like liberation, the suffix of the word, the prefix of the word liberation comes from the word. So
etymology.
Yeah. So you got to get into the
Etymology
words like
crazy, bro.
Yeah. So you got to.
God.
So one thing people got to understand is that's what spirituality is. It's all about not being tricked. You don't get tricked by, once you study the etymology of certain words, when you get into the science. So you can't negate science. So like I said, when you understand the science and you compile it with spiritual rituals and stuff like that, that's when you tap into your true power. But like I said, it has nothing to do with, just, I love everybody, I'm liberated. That's false light. You know what I'm saying? True spiritual people are very stern. They they cultivate boundaries so much to the point because they understand that energy transfer is real. Anybody who understands the mechanisms of energy transfer, they will know that, hey, I ain't finna lay down with this person because he probably got, his nervous system is probably compromised. You know what I'm saying? Even worse, I forgot what they call it. He might have a chemical imbalance. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's gonna throw off my pH balance. Like, there's a multitude of things. You know what I'm saying? So
acidic levels. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you know what I'm saying, you got some women.
They might have an STD. I mean.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. You got a lot of women, who are sexually liberated, and they negate that, a lot of these dudes, man, they eating Big Macs. They, you know what I'm saying, they eating all the McDonald's. So what is that doing to your womb? You know what I'm saying? That's like putting, that's like putting some lawnmower gas, some lawnmower oil inside of a BMW. You know what I'm saying? Like, you letting anybody, you know what I'm saying? You let any type of oil just get up in, you know what I'm saying, your womb. You let anything just get up in you. Anything? Because you sexually liberated. Really? That's what I said. Spirituality is about superseding your nature by cultivating boundaries. You got to have
Boundaries,
boundaries, and you got to have discipline.
yeah. Boundaries. I like how you say that. I really like how you said that. I was talking to myself, and boundaries allows people to. It allows you to protect your energy more, and allows you to filter who comes into your life.
So some people to be like, I'm just saying, cause I've been around them, like the especially like the ones that are the liberals, the liberal type of women, like they got the whole aesthetic, the they either have the nappy fro and they have the blonde hair and they got the septum piercing and then they got the crystals and then they doing yoga and they hang out with everybody and you know what I'm saying
right. There's a lot of those.
like, I'm a Christian, I'm this, I'm that, I'm for the colorful flag rights. They do everything. You know what I'm saying? That's not true liberation. Like I said, that's false light. Anytime you see somebody who's tapped into the aesthetic of that energy, that's demonic possession, bro. Because like I said, true spiritual energy is where you establish boundaries. You got a lot of shit that's within this world.
You start seeing how serious it is.
Yeah. Because
this shit is serious. Yeah. And that's where I think it goes into like, they say liberal is also worldly. If you are if you're sexually liberated, you're just a worldly person. Meaning you're just a part of the world. And you also don't see how serious it is because you have isn't like 50% of the world casual, superficial, short pace, short term in the cities, club life. You got most of those people who are on a casual, superficial level, or what you want to call surface level. But once you start to really wake up, I agree on you because you start to see things that you should take it serious. Like everything you put in your body, you should take it serious. You should take the person that you sleep with serious. Whereas a casual person, they like, man, life, freedom, life, freedom.
I've seen spiritual women, so-called spiritual women, they lay down, they messing with cops, you know what I'm saying? They don't care. It's like, they just like, well, he has good energy, so I'm going to talk to him. You know what I'm saying? They messing with, Freemasons, you know what I'm saying? They doing all types of stuff. They have no type of boundaries. They just messing with people based on the energy that they feel at that moment of time. I feel like energy, you know what I'm saying? Like, but energy in itself can be deceptive if you're not in your right state of mind to where you're able to see beyond the illusion and the bullshit that's being facilitated by the simulation. So it's one of those things where, you got to activate the supreme spiritual eye to read energy. That's what's, you know what I'm saying? Because once you're able to truly read energy by being logical, not emotional, but logical, once you're able to truly read energy, that's when you tap into the esoteric language of, okay, I'm not seeing these people, you know what I'm saying, based on what they look like or how they look. I'm reading their energy now. You know what I'm saying? Now you can go in a room and you can basically read the room just by reading the energy. Oh, I don't belong here. These ain't my people. You know what I'm saying? You don't need a damn book to read to understand that.
So you feel like spiritual women, do you feel like they should show their bodies a little bit as that just makes them feel more free? Or do you feel like they should cover up? Because a lot of people will say, like, a traditional spiritual woman should cover up a little bit more. What do you think?
I think you should cover up, to be honest, because being dressing scantily clad and highly promiscuous, I should say, it's all connected to a form of patriarchy. Patriarchy is the epitome of the exploitation of sexual energy. So, with that being said, your sexual energy is supposed to be used for spiritual purposes. Because as I told you before, if women are able to control their sexual energy by way of the aesthetic and by way of actually doing the course of having sex, that energy you can control and manipulate the weather with it. So like I said, it's one of those things where women have to, control their sexual energy, control their sexual nature in order to tap into their true power. You know what I'm saying?
That's because I learned that.
Okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say you're right on controlling that because I've seen some women let the sexual energy control them, I didn't realize that sexual energy is uncontrollable in women. Like it can, if they start letting going crazy, it starts to control them. They start to look at it as power. I've heard certain women tell me that sex magic is very powerful, which it has its part, but they'll use it literally every day, and they'll convince.
They use it as an excuse. See, sex rituals. When you do a sex ritual, you're not actually supposed to release, because that cosmic energy that collaborates with the cosmic radiation of ether. When you're about to climax, when your girl having sex, y'all supposed to not release. You're supposed to use that sexual energy, and that power has so much potency to it. You're supposed to hold that energy and put your tongue at the roof of your mouth and think about things that you want to manifest, because that energy in itself, the extraction of the sexual energy, is going to connect with the ethers to where it's going to be in a state of manifestation. Because once you change your mindset, you change your reality, and that reality becomes a form of magnetism. So that magnetism in itself is how you cultivate your sexual energy, by changing up your mindset about what sex is. You're supposed to use sex for manifestation. So this is how you can create a baby. You can create your own reality by way of your sexual energy when you're tapped into it.
Okay, so that particular individual, they also said that a man semen retention doesn't work for everyone. Do you think this is true, BDELL?
Nah. He just, like I said, he's an emotional man. So one thing people see, that's only acclimated to males. There's a diametrical difference between a male and a man. Now, a male is an individual who hasn't mentally and spiritually fortified himself enough to become a man, because he's not able to supersede his nature to where he doesn't have the discipline to where he doesn't have sex with a lot of women. Right? So that's all based upon mental discipline. Mental discipline, that is basically the whole epitome of mastery. Once you master your sexual energy, once you master anything that's connected to external stimulation, that's when you tap into your true power. Same thing with the woman. A woman, there's a diametrical difference between a woman and a female. A female is an individual who hasn't emotionally fortified herself enough to be a woman.
So you said that a woman, she can control, the weather grid when they hold their sexual energy. What about a man? What can he do when he holds his sexual energy?
He can create. He's able to create. So like I said, because your sexual energy is connected to the ethers. So because your sexual energy is how you raise up that kundalini energy that sits at the base of the spine. And it goes into the 34th ventricle of the brain, and it activates the hypothalamus gland, which is the master gland, the crown chakra. So that sexual energy is booming out of the crown chakra and collaborating with the ethers.
This is pretty advanced.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little advanced. Like, some people know about this, some people don't, but people don't understand that our bodies are like, we can fast, we can sweat, we can, meditate, we can astral project, we can remote view, we could do a lot of things that people don't really know about. But NPC thinks that
it's crazy though, because it's not a coincidence. I just got to download. It's not a coincidence that what they call sex in pornography, they call it XXX. XXX, you know what I'm saying? I think that's acclimated to the chromosomal structure of who we are on this planet. Because with the woman, she got 2 X chromosomes. And I think initially, this is just my opinion, not based on nobody's research. This is just, probably won't find it in the book or whatever. This is just based on my opinion. I believe that when a woman is tapped into her true divine energy, she has the ability to activate another X chromosome, where she has 3 X chromosomes, because the woman is the true spiritual device on the planet.
Right. They have that. They have that Eve gene that we don't have.
But that's just my opinion. So it's not a coincidence, because they could have called it. Why they didn't call pornography ZZZ? Why they call it XXX? Why is that? They could have called it any other letter in the alphabet.
You're right. Yeah, you are right with that.
So yeah, that's just my perspective on that.
Wow, that is crazy. Going deeper, how long do you feel like a man should hold his energy? Do you feel like he should go with the flow, or you feel like he should hit like a 3-year mark, take a break?
No,
What's your recommendation?
because when you put certain timestamps and mandations on anything that's connected to the material plane, because as I told you before, time is an artificial construct. So it's one of those things where you got to go with the flow of the energy. If you feel like it's right for you and you have the discernment to decipher and use your intuition, I feel like I can lay down with that one. Like, you know, you got to use your, like I said, use your emotions as a navigation system. You can't just be like, you know, in 5 months, I'm going to release. You know what I'm saying? Like, because sometimes, you know, expectations lead to devastation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you never put like no mandations on nothing. Just gonna just be like when I go on a fast, I don't be like, man, I'm going to fast for this amount of days. I'm be like, I'm just fasting until I tap out. I'm just, because some people, like I said, you know, I don't eat every day. Some days I just be like the same thing. It's like that's how you control your emotions, because you're not subjugated by time. Because some people feel like there's a time to do everything. Some people really eat 3 meals a day because they supposed to. Oh, I'm supposed to eat lunch at 12 p.m. You know what I'm saying? But that's a matrix, bro.
Yeah.
That's artificial. That's something that came along with the simulation.
That's social norms.
Yeah, those are social norms.
Yeah, that's following social norms.
Break out of the social norms by way of tapping into the true spiritual energy by going with the flow of the energy of the planet. So what happens is, what I do is I eat when I feel like it. I don't care what time it is. If I'm hungry at that time, or if I'm not, I only eat when my body tells me to eat something. I don't eat because it's 5 p.m. We're supposed to be having supper. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I used to use the Zero app, fasting apps, but I stopped using all those apps. I just started fasting off, you know, the naked eye, just off my gut. You know, when I feel like it, that's when I'll eat. That's when I eat. That's when I break it.
Yeah,
and it's better when you do it like that.
That's the best way. That's the best time. You know, that's the best way you tap into your energy. You know what I'm saying? To where you're not subjugated by the societal norms, to where you break free from the energy extraction matrix, which is cultivated by a form of a simulation, to where it creates, you know, artificial constructs of time. So everything in this realm is basically artificial and superficial. So it's one of those things, like I said, it's one of those things where, you know, it creates a certain perception. Like, you know, just like this is the whole epitome of a matrix. You know, you graduate high school, you go to college, you graduate college, get a big house, white picket fence, you get married, you know, you go on vacations, and you know, you got the dog, you got 2 kids, a boy and a girl. Like those are thought forms of the matrix system. You know, that's how you break free when you see beyond the illusion, because all that stuff is galvanized by the energy of time.
Yeah. It pisses some of us off. Just the seeing the social norms, seeing how everything is just like school, college, work, school, college, work. And it's like
you become a robot. Like you,
right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, get up, gotta go to work. You know what I'm saying? Even though I work, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I have a lot more flexibility because I told you, I don't think I told you, but I'm an engineer. I'm a thermal engineer. So, so it's not one of those things where I'm not being micromanaged, or you know, I don't have somebody. Like, I do what I'll do. I'm on my phone when I want to be on my phone.
Right. You know, you have that freedom.
I have freedom. You know what I'm saying? So, because if I had like a regular 9 to 5 and I'm sitting at a desk all day, I would have been tapped out the matrix a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, with me, you know what I'm saying, still working, I use it as a navigation system, and I also use it as a form of, because I'm to the point now when it comes to consciousness and spirituality, I'm to the point where I want to build things. I want to build things that combats the energy that subjugates us on a spiritual level. So that's why a lot of times, like, you know, I take mental notes on the things that I build at work and stuff that I do at work, because all those things are basically incorporated into how you build certain spiritual monolithic structures. You know what I'm saying? That's a form of engineering. spiritual engineering. So the same thing, I want to actually start building stuff. You know what I'm saying? I want to get into that. I want to, you know what I'm saying, create an invention or something, you know what I'm saying, to where I can, you know, produce some type of free energy. That's the mindset I'm at. So that's going to be my next goal for within the next, you know, 5 years. I want to create something to where I don't want to just talk. I want to do something. So with me being an engineer, it constantly understands the mechanisms of what certain machines and certain additives and certain things, you know, to where you can create something. So
right,
what I'm doing.
I mean, it makes sense that you are an engineer, because you to be an engineer, you have to be like really hands on, right?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. It make I definitely see that. So going on to the next question, do you work out your core like when you go to the gym?
Yeah. Oh yeah, most
So
definitely.
what do you think about the core being like that heater of your body? You can use your core. A lot of people say like you got to work out your core when you go to the gym, because your core is like really responsible for really heating up your body and heating up also that melanin, because it gets hot. What do you think about that?
Yeah, because when you activate the core, it activates the solar plex, and the solar plex is the foundation of the candida enzyme. So when you activate the candida enzyme, that's how you activate the lymphatic system, to where you flush out all certain energies that's basically impure to the body. So it creates a thermogenic, and the thermogenic, as I broke down the nomenclature title of ether. Ether is electrical energy, thermodynamics, hydrodynamics, electromagnetic radiation, and resonant energy, which is the foundation of antimatter. Antimatter is the carbon. So when you activate all those things, you activate the thermogenic principle within the solar plex. Solar plex is going to help you activate everything within your genetical structure. It heats up the body, because I feel like when I'm working out, when I'm doing like crunches and stuff, my body gets so hot. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I love working out. Yeah, like some people don't work out their core. They might do legs, you know, upper body, you know, all types of things, but they forget the core. Whereas your core gives your strength to do a lot of the daily things. You know what I'm saying? Keeps your posture better. That's why the core is like, even like if you look at the ship, the core of the ship is what really keeps it going. That's like the brain. So when you work out your core, you're working out the brain. Like you said, you're working out certain.
Yeah, we got 3 brains. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got the stomach, you got the heart, because the heart, when you study neurocardiology, it has neurons in it. And plus, the magnetic field of the heart is 1,000 times more intrinsic than the magnetic field of the brain, because the heart sends messages to the brain by way of intuition.
Wow. That's yep.
So there is a metaphysical connection to that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, working on your core is very metaphysical. Now, a lot of the times, I recommend watching, or even brothers and sisters watching, if you do want to get through some problems, just do a core workout. You'll be surprised how a core workout can really make you get through some problems. Because what you're doing, you're burning away all that energy stuck. Because you know, we get emotions stuck on our core. You know, we get emotions stuck on our body, and sometimes it gets stuck on our core. So when you work out your core, you're like you're like lighting your core on fire. You know, and you already know fire just burns through things. You said the movie Soul?
I said putting that torch to the soul, igniting the soul.
Yep.
Oh yeah, one thing I want to tell people, it's important. During the time of the solar eclipse, you should also detox and fast.
Okay.
If you can, try to go do no food. If you feel like you do have to eat, do like some smoothies, some juicing during the time of the solar eclipses.
When is the next solar eclipse?
April 8th.
Okay.
Fast and don't eat nothing, and then go to these ancient sites that you have in your city. You got mounds. Some cities got pyramids. So if I lived in Atlanta, if I lived in Georgia, I'd go to Stone Mountain during a solar eclipse. Fast, Go to Stone Mountain. But where I'm going to go, we got mounds. This place called Angel Mounds, and the mound is basically a micro version of a pyramid. That's basically what it is. So if you want to absorb these energies that's coming in, because a solar eclipse is the return of the ancestral energy. That's what a solar eclipse is. That's what it basically is. So in order to receive that energy from the ancestors, is one of those things where you gotta make your vessel open to it. You know what I'm saying? And do it with, you know what I'm saying? And if you're single, you know what I'm saying, go in and do it by yourself. But if you got a counterpart, you know, get a divine feminine or get a divine masculine, and y'all go out and meditate or something, and so y'all can receive these energies coming in from the solar eclipse. Because like I said, you when you watch the movie, the third Matrix movie, the newest one that came out, in order for Neo to get to the next level, he needed that divine feminine in order for him to pull himself out the Matrix. So the divine feminine and the divine masculine, they got to work in tandem. They got to work in synergy in order to leave this realm. That's what they got to do. So the same thing actually takes place when you're absorbing these energies that's coming in from the solar eclipse.
Yeah,
So,
I had made a video back and I said that, you know, if you find the right divine feminine, she makes you make sound decisions, because, you know, their intuition when they're more evolved is on point. Like our intuition as a man, even me, I'm spiritual, I meditate every day, but a woman who meditates every day, she still got that. Like she still got that Eve gene. You know what I'm saying? So her intuition is gonna supersede mine's. You know what I'm saying? So when you get the right evolved woman, you got someone who's also reading between the lines of every decision you're making.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
So like I said, man, it's one of those things where you just got to get the right woman to do that stuff with, because we living in a time right now, by way of instant gratification, the woman, she is subjected to the sleep spell because, you know, her emotions is connected to everything as far as like material. So you got to get a woman who is able to understand the art and the principle of detachment. Because when you understand that mechanism, you know, that's when you can tap into your true spiritual energy to where you're not subjugated on a material level. So that's why you got to get a woman. It's very hard nowadays to find a woman who isn't, she's not brainwashed. She's not a brainwashed sheep that's going along with the societal norms of the matrix system. So once you find a woman like that, you got to keep her, bro. I made a post about that, you know, yesterday on Facebook.
Yeah, don't if you effort with that woman, bro, I don't think you're gonna, like, you might find another one, but maybe like 5 years, you know, but it's hard to find highly developed, evolved women, bro. That's a fact.
Especially in the location where I'm at. The most of the women where I'm at, they're fast asleep, because the city where I'm at is more it's really conservative. It's a mixed city. It's one of those things where a lot of people here, they're not tapped into the authenticity of true spiritual energy. They it's either they just, everybody here is a Christian or they're Christians, and so it's kind of hard for you to, you know, find a woman who isn't tapped into true spirituality. So that's why I said,
do you feel like you can maybe transition a woman to become spiritual if you find a Christian woman?
So I'm a firm believer of not manipulating people's timeline.
Okay, so you don't want to like change her beliefs.
Yeah, I don't do that. That's like I don't do what Christians do. Christians, they be like, "Come on, convert to Jesus. You going to hell." I don't do stuff like that. Like, you wouldn't know. A person wouldn't know what I know unless they actually like came up to me and talked to me. I don't go around talking to people like this is how I know that, you know, I'm tapped into my true divine purpose, because I'm not a person that actually gets on camera. Like, it took me a lot when I made my first video. It took me a lot, like, but some tell me, like, you are sitting on information. It's time to make video.
Right. But we were talking about that.
Yeah.
You being a 7-2.
Yeah, I'm very quiet. A lot of people, you know what I'm saying? Some people like who live in my city, who grew up with me or whatever, they know that I'm very quiet. and some people are like, man, you got YouTube? Like, I'm like, if I'm one of those people, like if I'm in a room, you wouldn't even know I'm in there. That's how quiet I be. But you know what I'm saying? But because of, you know, by way of social media and for me to put out the edification, you wouldn't know that because I got to talk to people, you know what I'm saying? Like, so sometimes for me, you know what I'm saying, I'm still dealing with it. I take breaks in between when I'm putting out videos because it's so energy draining for me to be speaking, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes I'd be like, man, like, I need to chill out, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not even a talkative person like that, you know, so.
Yeah. So you're saying you as a 7, and you get drained when you speak a lot.
No, I wouldn't say I get drained when I speak a lot. It's just energy draining because you dealing, when you get on the screen, you're dealing with multiple energies, man. You get people watching you, bro. Like,
right. You don't know who's watching. Right.
It's an amalgamation of energy, you know what I'm saying? So,
right.
And then, you know, you're just dealing with, you know, other, you know, external forces on top of that. So, like I said, that's how I know. Like, I'm one of those people, man. Like, somebody come up talking to me in person, I try to cut the conversation quick. Because I'm an introvert. I don't like talking to people.
Yeah, that's how it is too. Facts. Yeah. You gotta have just like, you know, Divine Insight said, you gotta have heart to put yourself out there. You do. You gotta have a certain heart, a certain sacrifice. And even going to Divine Insight, he also did say one thing about, you know, the cold. Anything cold is bad. This is why, you know, troll, when they aim, they say freeze. You ever notice how they say that? Did you ever study the etymology of that?
Nope.
Yeah,
I haven't studied that. Nope.
That's something that that's an insight he found out, and I was like,
there's something connected to it, but I am the epitome of an introvert. I don't have a lot of friends by choice. You know what I'm saying? I just don't. My dad, you know what I'm saying, the way I grew up, he always told me to, you know, to create my own autonomous infrastructure by being a loner. Because when you become a loner, that puts you in alignment to where you become a leader and not a follower. So I don't hang out with a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Because I believe in energy transfer. You hang out with 5 bums, you're gonna be the 6th one. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where I always did my own thing. I just don't do what other people do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just, the way I grew up, that's the way I was socialized growing up as a child. You know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up with my dad. You know what I'm saying? So.
Right. Do you feel like hot showers are bad?
It depends.
Okay.
It depends. Like, and the reason I say it depends because when you take a hot shower, especially like with the water and everything being compromised, hot water has the ability to cause the expansion of the skin cells to open up until now you're receiving all that poisonous water and it's going in your skin. So cold showers is actually more of a healing modality. So if you take cold showers after you work out, it'll help you peel off a lot more calories and fat. Also, you ever heard of cryotherapy?
No, I heard of hydrotherapy, where you go from cold hot, but not. What is that?
Cryotherapy is when you just like sit in like it's like a little incubator and it freezes the body up a little bit. Ooh. You actually extract a lot more calories doing that than if the body was heated up during a workout.
Wow.
Yep. So it's you know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where it's kind of like you got to mess with it. You got to tweak it a little bit.
Yeah.
So, you know. Yep. Because it's also connected to chronokinesis, because where you able to manipulate and freeze time. Because if you pay attention to people, like the movie Avatar, when he froze himself for 100. He didn't freeze himself. He got froze for 100 years. He looked just like the same person he was 100 years ago. He was a little boy. So the same thing actually takes place with the body. It basically regenerates the cells. Yep.
That's a crazy process.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna answer some.
So I think these extraterrestrial species, they actually use probably like the code and stuff for. They use cryotherapy for genetical self-preservation. They didn't use it for, oh, I'm going to use the cold weather to subjugate the spiritual energy of the planet. You know what I'm saying? That by way of HARP and weather modification. But I think that they actually did it on a micro level when you're talking about healing the body. They only used it for healing purposes. As far as like code. That's just my opinion.
I realized, because you ever heard of human design?
Who?
Human. It's called human design.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It was like projectors, generators, and all that.
Okay.
Yeah. But certain, if you look into human design, it will tell you the actual type of foods you should eat. And some people are not supposed to eat cold foods, and some people are supposed to eat cold foods.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, my body, I'm not supposed to eat cold foods. I'm supposed to eat hot foods. That's why I always have like teas, soups. I might go to like Tassili's. I might get something like, that's cold, but I might get something hot though. Anything cold does make me weaker. And that's what I realized. Yeah, because it'll tell you that your blood, it'll tell you what temperature your blood is. So if your blood is cold, you need hot foods. If your blood is hot, you need cold foods to offset that balance.
See, I'm warm. My body is usually warm all the time. Like
Okay, you probably need more juice, like juices and smoothies.
Mm-hmm. My body is real hot. It can be cold outside. You can still feel my body is real hot. That's how you know that people. It's in one of Dr. York's publications. That's how you're able to delineate if a person has a soul or not. Feel their hands. You know what I'm saying? If it's hot and their hands is cold or whatever. Like my body is always hot. It's hot. Like I'm not like sweating or I'm not sick or nothing, but that's just the thermal. Like I said, that's what non-ether is. Electrical energy, thermodynamics, hydrodynamics, electromagnetic radiation, and resonant energy. So the thermodynamics is where the heating of the body, heating up the body by way of the carbon activation. So that's how you know if a person has a soul or not.
Yeah, and also can't you also tell mentally? You could just read them by the top of in their eyes. If you look in their eyes, you see like a glass. You don't really see too much soul, too much of like you know how people with a soul have an inner dialogue. If you don't just see that inner dialogue inside of them, there's something, no one's home.
Yeah. Another thing, to where you're able to decipher if a person has a soul or not, you have 4 elements of the soul, which is thinking, reasoning, understanding, and willpower. Your willpower is your strength to get through certain things as far as like discipline. You know what I'm saying? You're able to think, meaning that you're able to comprehend what's going on, to where you're able to understand the dichotomy between good and evil. Understanding, to where you understand a multitude of things that's connected to planet Earth. So it's like I said, when people don't have those 4 elements, that's how you know that they don't have a soul. Because your willpower is going to tell you get the will and get up and go do something with yourself. Go work out. You know what I'm saying? Go do something that's self-affirming or something that's constructive. That's how you know if a person has a soul or not. You got some people just, man, I ain't doing nothing. I just want to smoke this loud and drink this lean, bro. I'm out here.
Yeah. You feel like black people, you feel like black or melanated people have souls? Like there are, like, you feel like some of them don't have souls?
Yet some of them don't. I'm gonna tell you why. In the inception point, some of them did, but they lost their soul because they became acclimated to the patriarchal standpoints of a patrilineal system, meaning that they conform to the system. They conform to everything around them. That's when you lose your soul as a so-called melanated man and melanated woman.
So you could lose your soul. You could lose your soul right now.
Some people say you can't. Some people say you don't. But I actually believe that because I've seen. Best way I can explain it. How you ever seen? This doesn't. I'm saying I'm not being racist and nothing. This has nothing to do with. But this is the reality. How you ever seen a black woman who dated nothing but white guys? Pay attention to her greater hair. Pay attention to her genetics. Pay attention to the way that she acts. Everything becomes compromised. She's
what about her voice?
I ain't talking about the voice, but she's no longer her authentic self. She becomes artificial because some of those women, they start wearing contacts. They start wearing blonde weave. You know what I'm saying? You basically become something that you're not. That you're not basically, because you're taking up on the energetic frequency of a race that you're basically trying to please in a form of relationships. So you're basically seeking approval to where you're not even thinking about yourself. You become anti yourself because you're showing credence to another race. That's what an antichrist is. You anti yourself. You anti yourself. You lose your soul. You don't believe in yourself no more. You're not even tapped in to your true culture. You don't even want to tap into that energy. So a lot of times, it can, a lot of that energy, when it comes from women dealing with that type of energy, a lot of that stuff stems from childhood because they probably grew up without a father. So now she resents black men to where she got to date other races of people in order to combat the lack thereof.
Right.
So that's where you got to tap into doing your shadow work. When you do your shadow work, that's when you subjugate the trauma, the inception that was cultivated in the inception of your childhood. So a lot of people's problems, and they lose their soul just based on the traumatic experiences that they had when they was a little child. Because, like I said, you become a product of your environment. So in order to get people, acclimated to the energy of the soul, you got to fix the environment up. You know what I'm saying? Make it more safe, a lot more culturally balanced to where they know who they are. That's how you fix certain things. It all starts with the household. Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna now answer some questions, y'all.
Okay.
If you guys want to ask a question, just go ahead and comment it, and we will, if it's compliant enough, we will answer it.
I can't even see no question. I don't even know who in the chat.
Okay, so I'll just bring it up. So this brother said, "What about the different races? We can't say they don't have a soul either."
Reason I say that, you got to understand the delineation between 6 ether and 9 ether. 9 ether is able to dematerialize into 6 ether, which is a form of nothingness. So 6 ether dematerializes into a ghost because it doesn't have the 9 ether. 9 ether is the foundation of all things in civilizations. The building block is carbon. Carbon is one of those things where if it breaks down, it becomes a lower form, because if you don't have carbon, it dematerializes into a form of a sulfur. Sulfur is actually unnatural. So when you talk about 9 ether, or when you're talking about other races of people having souls or whatever, you got to look at it from a standpoint. Let's just use some type of logic. You think the people who run this planet have souls? Because the people who run this planet, as far as on a perceptual level, on the surface level of what you see on television, a lot of these people are mass murders. You know what I'm saying? They doing trafficking and things of that nature. These people don't have souls. You know what I'm saying? Running, tyrannical governments. That's not that's not a demographic of people who have souls. Because if you have a soul, that means that you have some type of humanity. All these people, all these plutocracies, the elites, they don't have no humanity. You know what I'm saying? So that's
you say humanity?
They don't have no humanity. They have no compassion.
Right.
They have no compassion.
Yeah.
There was a study that came out. They said that it was they said that all, I forgot what races that they said, but I know it wasn't black. They said that when they see people, when they walking down, their brain don't light up because they see certain when they walking down the street, when they with black people or whatever, like they brain don't light up, like it doesn't activate the neural synapses to let you know that there's a black person sitting right there. They'll try to they literally won't even move. Like they'll try to walk through that person. Like their brain don't light up because they see black people as objects. So there was a study that that came out not too long ago, and it was basically saying that. So that's why I said that those are the 4 elements of the soul: thinking, reasoning, understanding, and willpower. You got to understand your humanity. You got to understand that these demographics of people are not, they're not objects. You know what I'm saying? You can't use them for exploitation purposes and also to activate your form of imperialism on the planet. You can't use them for that. You can't use them for capitalistic purposes. So that's how you know that, this system is being galvanized by people who don't have a soul. It's being facilitated by people who don't have a soul, because otherwise, capitalism wouldn't exist. Only reason capitalism exists is because of patriarchy. Patriarchy is the epitome of racism. So if people had a soul, it wouldn't be no racism, right?
Right.
So everybody don't have. Go ahead.
Oh, we getting some super chats. I just seen them, y'all. Let me see how to do it. I don't know how to. Okay, so greetings. How do you train your expressive blue throat chakra? So she asked, I don't know how to highlight it, but she said, how do you train your throat chakra?
The best way is by way of the doctrine of signatures. The doctrine of signatures is acclimated to certain foods and certain herbs and or whatever, so where you can activate that chakra point, that energy cortex. So since blue is equated to the doctrine of signatures of blueberries, eat blueberries. Blueberries helps you activate your neurological faculties, activates the crown chakra, to where you're able to think and speak, speak truth. Helps you activate a state of consciousness.
Mm-hmm. This brother said, BDELL, I have only dated white women in the past. As a black male, I am lost. I know a few brothers as well who've only dated white women. Yeah.
No, I'm gonna tell you, just because you lay down with certain, see, everybody, by way of indoctrination and by way of things that's being facilitated by the television networking system, a lot of that stuff, doesn't mean that you're lost. Everybody is subjugated by the matrix, on some level. Like, just because, you lay down with other species of people don't mean that you're not chosen. Some people, like, they was really like, that's all they saw. That was the environment they was in. It's kind of like a black kid. He grew up in an all-white neighborhood and he went to an all-white school. What do you expect him to date? That's the environment that he was, forcibly put in, because his parents have a good job or something like that. And there's no other, that's all he sees. And, and don't let him be good at basketball and football. And he, you're in high school, you around all that, you're going to be subjected to dating outside of your race, because that's all you know by way of your environment. And the inception of the problem comes from the parents not knowing who they truly are by way of their culture. They don't know their true culture. Because a lot of black people who make a lot of money, as far as working in Fortune 500 companies, a lot of them, they don't understand their true history. Some of them, they just kind of just like, they got the good job and that's it. So it's a wonder, like, so it ain't your fault if that's something that you was acclimated to since you was a child, but you can do course correction, you can correct that, if you really, tapped into it, because it tells you all throughout. I'm gonna get to the question in a minute, but it tells you all throughout many different sacred tablets or whatever, or many different historical books, that it don't matter if you white, black, Chinese, or whatever, you're supposed to stick to your race, because they say that race mixing causes confusion.
Yeah, and also when you look at it on an ancestral level, if you're dating a white person, they have, white ancestors. Their ancestors were slave catchers, where our ancestors was, warriors. So then on an ancestral level, we already know that we walk with our ancestors.
Here's another thing, though. Some of the blacks were slave catchers. That's where the black nobility comes in.
Yeah,
so it's not actually just, subjected to the infiltration of white people. So because you got to understand the inception of genetics. Some of the first people who gave the edification to the European were black people. That is your black nobility. How do they know how to use religion to subjugate the seeds of Enki? How do they know how to use genetic manipulation? How do they know how to use weather modification? They learned those from higher entities. How do they do that? You know what I'm saying? So it's not one of those things where, they just, the European just woke up and learned how to do everything. Somebody melanated that's connected to the cherubim, the 200 fallen angels that came to this planet and made it with the daughters of men who are the Canaanite, Revelation 17:17, El's holy and Jill, the evil reptilian gave power to the beast. The beast is the Canaanite. The reptilian is the draconian reptilian factions of the cherubim, the 200 fallen angels, or the Nephilim, connected to the seeds of Enlil. So what I'm saying is those factions are actually shape-shifting black people, shape-shifting blacks who are able to manipulate certain things behind the scenes by giving the European power in the third dimension. That's what is basically going on. So it's not only subjected to the fact that, you know, you got to get out of this aspect of, oh, white people doing this. No, white people are being told by black people that you don't see. It's called the black hand, the unseen hand.
Yeah, I seen the picture you posted, BDELL, and you did show that. You showed a bunch of black people. They were actually with the Illuminati, and I'm like, they are part of the Illuminati too. So it shows that, yeah, you know, that's the
European, the Asian, the Caucasian, the Asian, Caucasian, the East Indian, the ones who control like governments on the three-dimensional level, they are just the face of what you see controlling the whole infrastructure of government. But behind the scenes, there are melanated ones called the black nobility who control them.
Wow.
That's why when I did my history, everybody that you've seen that was actually Caucasian, as far as like Beethoven or all these colonizers, there were actually melanated ones. So there's doubles. You got a melanated one, you have a European one. So that's how they hide.
Our own people, bro.
So, but that's the thing though. They not really our people. They the seeds of the enemy.
Right.
So, like I said, you have two different bloodlines of so-called blacks on the planet. Seeds of Enki, seeds of Enlil.
Yeah, so can you if you do a super chat, we will answer your question. So we got this question, and we have another super chat. So how do you feel about monatomic gold? I have used it a few times, and it definitely does help to kind of open up and decalcify that pineal gland. So it makes your intuition. If you want to activate your clears, get some atomic gold. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. One thing about anything about gold in general, gold is a intrinsic metal. So when you look at the periodic table of elements, the nomenclature title for gold is AU. AU is short for aura. So when you tap into eating monatomic gold or using monatomic gold, that is basically an elixir to activate your energetic morphic field, which is the foundation of your auric field. So your aura is acclimated to the energy of gold. So that's why that back during the inception of time, when you're talking about these ancient kings or whatever, they wore a lot of gold because gold was highly conductive. It's a superconductor. So that's when you look at some of the slaves, they always had the gold teeth. Gold teeth is acclimated to our culture because gold contains a positive electrical frequency to where when you speak in a certain octave vibration, it collaborates with the ethers because your aura is connected to the planet. So gold is a superconductor to where you can activate a form of manifestation because gold is highly magnetic, right? So now this goes into the fact that all ancient Semitic language, all ancient Moabite language is connected to the alphabetical symmetry of light. So when that light, that tetrahedron, is collaborating with the octave frequency of gold, right, that activates everything that's highly magnetic around you. So that's why it's imperative to understand that as far as speaking the English language is actually acidic to the body, right? So the European Albion dialect is acidic to the body because it contains sulfur. Our natural language is actually conducive to the body because it's highly magnetic because it contains carbon and silicone. So gold, when you understand the elements, when you understand creation, you will know that gold is a superconductor for manifestation purposes, and it's a superconductor to protect your aura.
Yes, it protects against all types of sorcery. Mm-hmm. Wow, that is powerful right there. Got the super chat. I just want to say shout out to the both of you for using your voice and insight to assist others on their path. I'm unlearning and learning so much from you both. Looking forward to us implementing. I say 5.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Queen.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Will sleeper cells be activated this year? What is that?
Sleeper cell is basically a form of military factions is coming in due to the expansion of borders. So border expansion is where you start letting in all these foreign entities, and a lot of them are connected to the United Nations military, or they're just connected to the military of external forces when you're talking about Iran, Russia, and China and things of that nature. So these sleeper cells also work in tandem with the CIA. The CIA is connected to the deep state shadow government, and the deep state shadow government in itself is connected to the secret alphabetical groups within our government by way of democracy. So the sleeper cells, they have the ability to be activated because they need a false flag event to take place to basically create this whole dynamic of a reset as we're going through a planetary reset. So sleeper cells, I say within now, not now, I say in between from March 25th all the way up until 2026. In between that time is going to be a sleeper cell activation.
Okay. Yeah, we got a lot of comments, y'all. So we're not getting into your comments. So it's only so many comments, y'all. It's all love though, but there's only so many comments. So we're just doing our best. Just know that. So trying to look for another comment. And it's about like probably 10 more.
We gotta close shop in a minute because I gotta get my little one from school.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna get like 1 or 2 more, y'all. So okay. BDELL, is it true that black nobility resides in the desert in Morocco and they answer to higher correct?
This is my first time coming across this information, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I know as far as like some of the black nobility, when you understand like the historical context of Moorish history, Morocco is basically in West Africa, Fez, Morocco, which is where you get the whole concept of wearing a fez. So that's when you get the whole mythology of the fez versus feathers, because a lot of the blackamoors came from West Africa, and then a lot of them came over here, and then that's when you get your whole concept of the black Spanish conquistadors who actually came over here with missionaries, and they subjugated the land with ecclesiastical law, which is a canon law, and the canon law, which makes the church and the state not separate, which is a corporate internal code, which is commercial law. So commercial law is acclimated to the religion. So they came over here with the religion and took us out of our land. That's how they did it.
Okay. All right, we got 2 more questions. This is second. As far as the black nobility and the reptilian species, do you know how these 2 species interact? Which ones have to leave this planet?
As I told you before, the black nobility are basically shape-shifting black people. That's where you get your whole mythology of watch the movie Vampire in Brooklyn. Watch the movie Vampire in Brooklyn and watch the first, I think it's like in the beginning of the movie, it tells you how they was exiled from Egypt and they was exiled from Babylon, because the first species on the planet, we all know, like I said, by way of genetics and by Mendel's law, you get the recessive from the dominant, you don't get the dominant from the recessive. So that means that it were black people here. You had 2 different bloodlines of so-called blacks that was here. So the seeds of Enlil, they were actually shapeshifters, black people. Shapeshifter, or what you call them, a draconian, or a Draco, Dracula. They all work in tandem. So when you watch the movie Vampire in Brooklyn, it's going to give you the historical reference of how they was exiled out of certain places, because Draconians, when you become a fallen one is connected to planet Saturn. Saturn is equated to a nomad. You don't have a homeland. So since you don't have a homeland, you're not connected to the planet. The seeds of Enki are connected to the planet. The seeds of Enlil, because his name means the Satan as being the prince of air. He's actually Lord of the sky, Lord of the simulation, Lord of the third dimension, Lord of the firmament. So what I'm saying is, those factions or whatever, those black nobility, draconians or whatever you want to call them, they're actually shapeshifters. So it's not a coincidence that Dracula comes from the word Draco. That's what a vampire is. It's a shape-shifting reptilian. Watch the movie Blade. They tell you in that movie too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right, so last question. A lot of people want to know some of the books, recommended books. I think you explained some books earlier.
Well, I got one right here. If you want to know about the deep state, read this book right here, Deep State. I'm you know what I'm saying, I went back to this because I got this book like 5 years ago. Talks about, you know, Donald Trump, FBI, and the rule of law. Get the book Autonomy. Autonomy will unlock the esoteric codes of the uniform commercial codes, and it tells you how it works in connection with the 1724 Black Christian codes, and it tells you the dynamics of how religion is actually a form of patriarchy that takes you out of your sovereign capacity. Also, what's another book? The Secret Ages of All Teachings. I'm reading that. I use it as a reference book. What else is another book? Holy Tablets. I always recommend that, by Dr. York.
That's still a book I got to read.
Yeah, but I'm gonna do another video soon. I'm gonna do a video that's breaking down all the books that's connected to the timeline that we live in here.
Okay.
To where you have a supreme understanding about what's taking place. So I'm gonna do another video on that pretty soon.
Okay. But yeah, without further ado, guys, you know, I really appreciate you guys for joining in with this collaboration with BDELL1014. Make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe to him, and if you guys are new to my channel, subscribe to me as well. We do a lot of collabing with conscious community and personal information as well, self learning about yourself, whether that's through numerology, astrology, all types of self-discovery. All right.
I think you spelled my name wrong too in the title. It's got 2 L's.
Okay, 2 L's. Let me fix that right now.
It's BDELL1014.
Okay. All right. Any last words, BDELL?
Man, stay vigilant. You know, be very meticulous of your surroundings. You know what I'm saying? And while at the same time, simultaneously, be working on yourself. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be stagnant, because anytime you're stagnant, you know what I'm saying, that puts you in a state of de-evolution. So you always want to be in a state of evolving yourself by doing something that's self-affirming. Because like right now, you know what I'm saying, we living in a time right now where instant gratification has compromised everything all around you. So in order to stay present as we're going through this energy extraction matrix in the Great Awakening period, the best way to stay present is to be tapped into yourself, to where you don't need external stimulation and external validation. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, end of transmission.
End of transmission.
All right.